Tuesday Hoof Chat Q&A. I should just make me a wheel that spins. Okay.
Can I already start with one question?
Oh, just a minute. I got to turn this up. I cannot hear. Okay, well, let me do. Welcome to Tuesday's Hoof Chat Q&A. Trying to get my little horse in the picture there. Today we're just going to do a Q&A. We got about, I don't know how many people here. Less than 100. And we're just going to do a Q&A and see where the road takes us today in anatomy or corrective trimming or historical error within the hoof care community. Many things of that nature. I finally, I don't even know what to say here. So, okay, I'm going to leave it open. And so have your questions ready there. Who wants to go first?
I would like to go first.
Okay, Marion.
Yes. How can I clean up the frog when it's very narrow in the back, like the center sulcus? It's not thrush, but it's like growing together, and I would like to open it and clean it up. So can I just like nip the additional one away, and how much am I doing?
Okay. Do you have a picture?
I sent you pictures a while ago.
Okay. Well, let me go find those and stuff. I know exactly what you're talking about. Your heels are contracted. Yeah, I really would like to talk more about how these heels contract, because really I have been coming to a better understanding of this. And okay, everybody's seen where a farrier will nip off like a whole layer of hoof, and you have that round circle, right? Clear all the heel, everything. Like say if your hoof wall was an inch too long all the way around or whatever, farrier comes in and he just nips it off like you're nipping off a fingernail, right? Well, and then if it sits there within a few hours, it's curled. The heels have curled in. This is exactly what is happening to these feet. They literally will curl in like that. But how and why they do it, that's what we want to look at. And so we want to understand how they got that way to begin with. And then we can start understanding more about how to reverse that process, hopefully. Okay, so I'm going to go to Facebook, to the messenger, and I'm going to look for the message that you sent that has the pictures in it. Did you send it to me in a message, or is it on the group page?
It's a messenger.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Is this Marion Gates?
Correct.
Huh?
Yes.
Dogs are barking. I can't hear nothing.
And I'm German, sorry.
Oh, that's... You just... Europeans speak better better English than Americans. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna enlarge this and then I'm going to, oops, that's the wrong one. Open a messenger. Okay, did I get this right? Your last name is Gates?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had the right Marion since I got several in messenger. And on the thing, it's not saying your last name.
Hmm.
Let's see. Okay, where are we at here? Do screen share. Okay. I'm gonna enlarge this. Okay, is this the right horse here?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, do. This was 4/3. When was this?
3rd of
Exact.
April this year.
April this year?
Yes. 3rd of
Okay.
April.
And let me just check out here just a second here. Let me get oh. See, he really flops his feet out, doesn't he? In front. Like flop, flop, flop. Like because his heel's been moved forward and then his toes forward. It's like his foot is out from underneath where it's supposed to be. Well, let's see here. Has everybody seen this video?
Yes.
Okay. Where do you live, Marion?
We see. I'm in Colorado.
That's in Colorado. I was gonna say that doesn't look like Germany per se.
No, it doesn't look like Germany. It's too dry.
Colorado. Well, see, I lived in Wyoming all my life. So that's right next to, we used to call the Coloradans the greenies because they had green license plates. Let's see here.
So while we are
Sweet horse.
watching,
Is this, what kind of horse is this?
this is a Haflinger. This is Violet.
Halflinger. Okay.
Yeah.
She just turned 18 years old.
Okay.
And she is, I have her since February last year, no history. And she started to be lame on the right front at the end of September.
Okay.
And she's barefoot.
Okay.
Oh, I got barefoot. I left her barefoot, and I'm just using her for light trail riding.
Okay.
And so the vet was out, thought it was an abscess. Abscess came after 3 days, but she was still lame and got worse lame.
Mm-hmm.
And now we put medicated pads on her, shoes and pads, but over Christmas, and she threw that one after 2 weeks, of course. And
Mm-hmm.
then I had normal shoes on. This is the pictures that you see right now, because in the end, I want to have her barefoot again.
Yeah.
But got worse with all the stuff that I was trying, and she's a little bit better with the irons now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still riding her. The vet said it's okay that I'm riding her if I do not force her into really heavy activities or
Yeah.
what. And she is only lame on a right-hand circle in a trot, and the circle like a lunging circle. So if I'm riding her, she is fine. And outside, she's fine. On left hand, there's no problem. No problem in canter, no problem in walk. She's just lame. Not really lame, but she is unsound, say it, in a right-hand narrower circle, a
Yeah.
smaller circle.
Okay.
So
Well,
I've out what the point is. We got 11 x-rays done, and the vet said she has pedal osteitis. So that means that the coffin bone, one of the wings of the coffin bone, is like deteriorating. But I'm feeding her now Osteomax, and I mean, this together with the shoes maybe might be improvement. Maybe it's just me thinking I see an improvement. I don't know.
uh-huh.
I'm thinking she has contracted heels. Not that the hoof is small in itself,
Yeah.
but I was treating for thrush for like months, like every day, and nothing is happening because it's so dry here. I
Yeah.
cannot really soak her hoof.
Yeah.
Now with the iron, it's working anyway. Putting her in a boot, right?
Yeah.
Because she has already the largest boot barefoot, and now with the iron, it does not work. And we are not this far to put her in a plastic bag for like 3 days. So I'm just giving her a bath here and there, but 20 minutes standing in water does not do anything.
Yeah. Well, first you have to really understand what's going on with her foot here. First of all, why they get abscesses. When the feet are like this, they will get abscesses because what's happening in reality is now, you know about the fact that what you're seeing here is not her foot, right? This is just the capsule growing from part of her foot. I mean, how long have you been with tack? Do you understand the concept of the fact that the horse has an inner foot?
Yes, I follow you since like 3 months or something.
Oh, okay.
Attending every call and watch your Facebook site, what's written, and the YouTube videos from you. So yes.
Okay. So yeah, sorry if I don't remember everybody I kind of talk to and stuff. I can't even remember the people. I'm in a small town. I don't have a lot of, who are you? Oh yeah, okay. We've lived next to each other for years. Okay, so what's happening is the capsule at some point the heels were incorrectly trimmed and they curled around the back of the foot. And so it's like it's contracted around this way and it's squeezed your bulbs together here. And then let's see how to describe this. I'm going to have to get me a rubber foot just so I can tell. It's as if the whole capsule contracted and then slid forward a bit. And so it's just not at all where it should be. Like especially if you look at this one here, let me enlarge this. Just a second here. Okay. Okay, especially if we look at this view here, we can really see it. These bulbs are pulled. First of all, they're not just pulled down, they're pulled inward. Like if we were to remove all this frog here, first of all, they're not going to decontract at all.
Screen share.
Oh, sorry. Duh.
I was just wondering, like, where is she?
Yeah, where is she? Okay, so this view right here, we really see what's going on in this view here. If we understand what the back of this foot is supposed to look like, which let me pull up a picture of the inner foot. See, the whole buttress, everything is wrapped around the back of the foot, and the whole foot is the whole circumference of that capsule, and the foot is wrapped in to the center of the foot. Let me see here. Inner foot. Just a second here. I gotta find a picture.
Linda, I'm working on a model and it's like silicone. You can show how it looks like if you put the bulbs and the heels inward and under.
That'll be great.
Yeah, that's why I need the wooden model. You know what I mean? So
yes,
I'm so excited. You get the first video. I promise.
Okay, that'll be awesome. Okay, so here's a horse's foot. This is a good foot here. This is the anatomically correct foot. Notice back here, okay, so your coronary band goes, you know, all the way back here. This part of it is where your buttress grows along the back of your foot here. Now I'm going to show you a picture of my mare's foot that is different. Just a second here. I'm going to have to enlarge this and take a picture. Wait a minute. Okay, here was my mare's foot when she died. Now, I thought at the time I had her feet kind of restored, but in reality, I didn't as much as I thought I did, because look, do you notice something and we talked about this in another hoof chat. Do you notice the back here? Where is the heel buttress corium? It's not there. Where did it go? Well, let me go back to here. Let's see. Okay, so this part, where does that go? Okay, it gets wrapped around. It gets compressed and wrapped around into the center of the foot there. And that's why, you know, I tell you, when you got false heels is when you got just sidewall, because anything in front of this area here that is buttress, anything in front of that is sidewall. See? And so your sidewall and the bar merge together to form a false buttress, false heel. And so this is what you have going on your horse, is that at some point in time, these heels just wrapped around into the center of the foot. The back of this foot, the cartilage, everything just wrapped around there. Well, then you've got this hoof capsule. Just a minute here. I'm trying to move this thing. Hold on. I'm going to show this again. Wait a minute. I want to take a picture and put these together. Hold on. Let's see. I'll take a picture so I got them together so people can compare. Let's see here. Let's see, new share. Okay, there we go. I'm going to name this, save as, what do I want to call this? I'm running out of names for stuff. But, 015, we'll call you that. Okay. All right, so now do you clearly see the difference? You look at the cartilage up here, how it's straight. See, up here. And then look at here, how it's rounded. There. Let's see, copy, I'm going to put it in paint. Okay, so that way I can draw on it here. Just a second here. Okay, here's the cartilage here. Rounded down. There's no heel buttress here. Where did it go? It got wrapped around into there.
New share.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let's see, new share, paint. There, you see that where I marked that right there? How that's rounded? But look
Yes.
up here. This is straight. See that? And then you have this right here where your buttress grows from, connected to the back of your heel right there. Okay, and then your sole starts growing here, connected to this buttress. Okay, well, when all this gets wrapped around and you get a hoof capsule growing from it, well, instead of growing form-fitted, like so, okay, to where everything fits in here, what happens here is kind of what's going on with your horse there. First of all, the back of the foot may be even a little shorter than and more bound up than what I've got on this horse here, which I can make this that way. We'll just kind of take this and kind of bound it up a little more like that. So if you think this foot here is supposed to be just like this foot here. And so what we're seeing is this foot, let's see here, if I can do this. That part's bound up. It's like as if we had this foot here compressed to that. See? And this part wrapped around in the center. And then the hoof capsule, instead of growing the right size like that, is, this minute here, is growing like that. Okay, so all these parts that are supposed to be open and have the correct capsule growing from them over here, instead, the hoof capsule's up here distorted, and so it's laying over parts of the sole it should not be on. And so then what happens is it causes a wound internally, and then you get an abscess. That's why so many barefoot horses have abscesses, because all of this has been wrapped around in a different spot or pulled down, and then you have a hoof capsule actually laying on where sole should be growing, like under here. And so it turns into an abscess there on the foot. So this is why what we found out, oh, this is way more than just growing heels. You know, at first, that's what I thought. Oh, we just have to grow that buttress. Let me undo this just a second here. We just have to grow that buttress right here. See, I didn't know all this was going on at the time. And so yeah, so now we got to unwrap the foot. Unwrap the foot. Just a minute. There we go. Alrighty then. What a joy. You know, it's like, oh my goodness, you know. Okay, so now knowing this is what's going on. So you think about it. You think about, okay, so I have that video on how the digital cushion works. And when you consider that that foot is a correct foot, and that foot, you know, this frog, like if you could see between the bulbs here, the frog stay on this horse goes clear up like this between the bulbs. And oh, am I screen sharing? I thought, what did I do?
No, we saw a
No.
red line.
Yeah, I thought it was working.
Oh, okay.
Oh, then I missed where you're putting your arrow, because I'm not seeing anything you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Are you seeing us now?
Yep.
Okay.
I was taking notes and lost track of you.
Oh, okay. So the frog stay grows up here between the bulbs like this, way up high. It's supposed to be way up high. Coming clear down like this. You know, that'd be a frog. So that when the pastern comes down, it comes down onto that frog stay, onto the digital cushion, which then also comes, which is in here, which comes down onto the frog stay, and then they're made to descend, to give and descend, but they're constantly pushing up. So when you have a foot like this, that function is missing. You know, the whole foundation of the back of the foot and how it's supposed to work. Of course, now she developed a pretty good frog stay, but she's still missing part of her foot here and the heel buttress. But on a lot of these horses, they're missing this really important function that happens when the pastern descends onto the digital cushion. The digital cushion has to have this frog stay, and well, the whole frog, but especially the frog stay that grows between the bulbs to support it. And that frog has to be living and viable and flexible. It can't be, as I call them, petrified. A lot of times the frog is just dead and petrified. And so, and another thing that happens too is, of course, your periopal is growing right here, right? So your periopal gets wrapped around the foot and then winds up growing over the whole frog, and you don't even know it. That happens too. In fact, it's so common, they used to think it was a natural part of the anatomy, and it's not. It's the result of distortion. This periopal band gets wrapped around with the heel buttress corium that grows the heel buttress right here. And then it merges with frog corium, and then it grows over the whole frog. And the purpose is to hold the capsule on. Because you see what's happening here and the leverages, if that periopal, if you'll see the periopal thicken too, the periopal will get a lot thicker a lot of times on horses that are losing their capsules, or horses that are real footbound, or any of this stuff, contraction. Periopal gets thicker because it's going to work to try and keep the capsule on the foot for the horse's survival. And so it does all kinds of really amazing things to try and do that. Like when you're trimming the heels out, it trims the frog out of the foot. Well, the periopal just take over. And the reason for that is to help the horse survive. Because if it didn't, then the horse's capsule would just come off, because as you trim the heels out, well, look at the difference here too. Let me undo this here. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Do you see so many differences here? Like, okay, this area here, look at the definition of the heel right there. So your heel buttress grows from here down, right in here, and it is connected to that heel right there. Then, of course, it joins up with the sole here, and they grow down together. Okay, but you see all this connection here? That's a lot of connection right in there, and that's a lot of depth. You have depth in the capsule, and you have a lot of lamina connection right here on the heel. And that is real important for keeping the capsule on the foot. But when you're trimming the heels out, look what happens over here. Where's the depth of the heel? I'm going to use a different color. Where's the depth? First of all, I think I might have maybe that much depth, if that. So you see, you're missing all of this depth here of heel buttress connected to your heel. Just have that, and then so this periopal, boy, it starts thickening up, and it starts taking over to try and hold the capsule on the foot, because, okay, you don't have any more, you don't have the depth of frog usually, because see, that's a thing. If I go to remove a capsule, the first thing I do is I will get in the back in here, get my finger in there, and I will separate the frog stay from the sulcus of the frog corium. Then I will get one heel loosened, and then I can zip it off like like Velcro. It's a little harder than that, but that's what it sounds like too. So, okay. So anyway, so now you understand a little bit more of what is mechanically going on and structurally going on with these feet. Okay, now let me show you another picture, which I've shown before. We're going to look at it. Hold on here.
Hey, Linda, before you navigate away from this, I just wanted to clarify my understanding in this comparison.
Yeah,
if that's okay. Thank you. So in this picture, what you're showing is the comparison of the depth of where the heel buttress would be attached to the inner foot.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I need a caption for my notes.
Yeah, and because it's all cartilage, it can be crushed, and the shape can be changed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because see, that mare would have had the same depth of heel if I hadn't trimmed her. Well, and she probably had some of her heel trimmed out before I got a hold of her, but still.
Yeah.
I finished it off. You're welcome. Okay, let me find the cartilage here. I wanted to show. In relation to what we just looked at, we're going to look at this. Do share. Okay. Okay, now on this foot here, let me open this with paint. Just a second here. Oh, I could just annotate that. I think I'll just do that. Okay, let me use annotate. Okay, so on that other foot, okay, now right here, you see the depth of the heel right there? Okay, now because the foot is out of the capsule is the only reason it looks like this, with everything dropped down. Okay, and plus I'm not holding on to the pastern, so the pastern up here is kind of drooped down, so pushing it down. All right, if I was holding the pastern up straight, this would be lifted up. But what this also shows is that without the proper support of the hoof capsule, this cannot maintain its shape. It wholly depends on that hoof capsule being structurally correct to maintain its shape and form. And so, but yet still, okay, I want to show you the depth of the heel here. Now, if I had the heel propped upright and stuff, the depth would look more like this. See, that's its true angle right there, like that. All right, so, but what I want to show you on this is just how this cartilage, when it's extended, and of course it's cupped, it's curved and stuff, but when it's extended, all right, we got this here, and you can see how it can curve right around. See, I had it clear out to here, right? And it can just be curved right around in there. Well, that is exactly what it does. Now, this thing I want to explain that's going on, let me undo all this. Okay, and see, here's the thing too. Like you see people and they can even have a collection of these feet and stuff like that. But if they don't understand how these feet can be deformed, then I don't care how many feet they have. I don't care how many dissections they've done. They will still draw wrong conclusions. So what you need to realize is that just because somebody teaches classes, just because they have a degree, just because even if they've just done what I've done, but they don't know what I do, they can have all those feet and still draw wrong conclusions. But you know what it does? Makes them look like they might know what they're talking about, doesn't it? But they don't. Okay. If you don't understand this stuff here that I am telling you, you will look at these feet and you will draw wrong conclusions all the time. Just a minute here. Let me undo this. Because since the back 2/3 of that foot is cartilage and fat and can be moved all over the place, and so there's something really important here to understand about hoof distortion and how it happens, and how these feet, they can have 50 different versions of themselves on one foot. They can take on so many different shapes. One foot can take on multiple different shapes, all due to the fact that, well, because the hoof capsule is kind of grown independently, it can grow away from the foot in weird ways. Oh, just a minute. Okay. Just a second here. Trying to find this place. This quote by Bracy Clark that I have here. This vet. Okay, well, here. Let's see. Different share, new share. Okay, these 2 feet aren't necessarily a good example, extreme example, but they're still an example. And he says this: the eye soon gets accustomed to deformity and does not discover it. It gets accustomed to deformity and thinking that the deformed is the norm, that's norm, natural, true. See? Okay, so what we're going to look at here in a little bit is the subtlety of deformity and how these feet show that they have to be a specific way, and they're just not going to put up with anything else. Okay, something's going to break down somewhere. All right. I'm talking to somebody the other day who is probably going to have to put down their horse, got a severe case of arthritis in P1, you know, P1, P2, P3, the long pastern joint, short pastern joint, coffin bone. You know, I'm sorry, but everybody can't afford just to have horses around that they've retired that they don't ride. That's just the truth of the matter, you know. And so so she might have to put this horse down. We were talking about it, and I said, you know, I believe that this arthritis is the result of bad feet, because the foot is not working correctly. There are things in this foot that are vital to everything going up the leg, the tendons, the joints, everything. And so, you know, these people, here's the thing about a horse and their foot: these feet were meant to adapt, but there's always a cost to adapting. There is always a cost. And that horse might seem sound and get along because God made it so the horse would adapt. Yeah, notice I didn't say evolution. And let me tell you something. It's not that I don't believe in certain kinds of evolution. All right. I believe, though, in a creator, and I believe he was very smart when he designed this foot. Just the fact that humans can't even get one digit right on a horse, you know, that in and of itself goes to show that, hey, they're probably wrong about a lot of other things too, right? But these horses were meant to adapt to survive. All right. And so this foot is a wonder. And so that horse adapts till he can't adapt no more. But all during the process, there are consequences. You know, there are consequences. And so arthritis is going to be a consequence of that. When I was younger, I worked like a man. I did the most horrendous. I dug ditches. I worked on seismograph crews where I carried heavy objects for miles over the desert, over my neck and back. I've done all kinds of manly work. And, you know, I remodeled my own house here. I've always done heavy, hard work. But you know what? I paid for it later because there were certain things I just really shouldn't have been doing that. You know, not like I did. So when you overwork something or you do something wrong, and as they find out in workers' compensation, right? And that's why the employers and stuff like that, they've started to make laws on and ways you work, and they talk about ergonomic, you know, working the right way, using mats, lifting things the right way. Why is that? Because if you misuse a body part, you will pay for it later. You'll pay for it then a lot of times. And in the long run, if you do it for a long time, you're going to pay for it with permanent injuries. You know, you may not realize at the time, and when we're young and we are dumb. We think we're invincible. And so, I can do that. You know, well, then when you're 50, 60 years old, you're thinking, I sure wish I wouldn't have done that. See, because down the line, it caused you permanent injury. And I actually had this chiropractor tell me that nobody ever got hurt working. You know, and yeah, no, they just get hurt playing sports. All right, dude. Anyway, so he says, the eye soon gets accustomed to deformity and does not discover it. And unfortunately, when it comes to horses' feet, this is very true. And that horse is paying for it. And then down the line, that horse goes lame and everybody goes, what happened? So, and what's bad is that it's the experts that don't recognize it, okay? So this guy, he saw way more horses' feet than you and I will ever see, or any farrier in this life, okay? Because back in the 1800s, well, that was the car, right? Okay, so he says, this error it was that embarrassed me and misled me. So what he's saying is, I was looking at deformed feet and I didn't even know it. And because I didn't know the foot was deformed, then I was drawing conclusions and I was making judgments and I was creating doctrine and teachings that I thought were true, but in fact, they were not true. And so he says, this error it was that embarrassed and misled me. Well, guess what? He's not the only one. It's been misleading people for hundreds and hundreds of years. And the only reason they're not embarrassed is because they just don't know it yet. See, they've just perpetuated and kept on with the error. So he says, this error it was that embarrassed and misled me in all my first experiments on what I conceived to be the natural foot. When he says the natural foot, he means the true foot. See, what is the true foot of the horse? The true anatomy, the true structure. He says, during several years, and it completely obscured my views in the truth, true nature, in the truth of these things, and my predecessors also, meaning everybody that came before him, as the general tenor of their works will indicate. Now, this guy worked his whole life trying to change the hoof care industry. It didn't change, and the errors that they taught back then continue today. And so because of this, their views on how they look at the foot, and they're obscured. They're obscured, and all of their conclusions are incorrect, almost all of them, because they don't know the true anatomy and what's going on and everything to begin with. So this is such a great quote, you know. But let's just take an example of these 2 feet, okay? And not saying that the person that did this foot thinks it's perfect or nothing. Obviously, it's being worked on. You can see the DIM back there. But now this here is the foot of a wild horse, adopted wild horse. And he has anatomically correct feet. It's got a couple of small issues, could have been worked on. But look at the cartilage. There. See how straight it is? It doesn't curve down like this, like on my horse. But look at the difference in this horse here. See how short it is? Let's see. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm just going to annotate here a little bit. Oh, blue is good. Okay, so wait a minute. Undo. Let's do red. Okay, so we're just gonna look at the cartilage here. There we go. But now look at the cartilage here. Oh, wait a minute. My drawing is kind of off there. And I need a little drink here. There we go. And even here on his foot, okay, it was a little out of kilter. But within 5 weeks after I trimmed him, it went right back to being what it was supposed to be, which was, let me find a picture here. Let's see, Chester. Well, which was gotta find where to new share here. Like this. See, at the time when I trimmed him on that other foot there, his foot had gone like 8 months without being trimmed, and it gotten a little long, and the capsule was starting to pull off a little bit. Because see, what can happen is you can trim the heels out and pull the capsule off, basically is what you're doing, but you're pulling the whole back of the foot in and compressing it into the back. Or you can just let these feet grow and grow and grow, and the leverage is pulling the capsule off. Okay, so I want to look at a picture now. We've looked at it before, but it ties all this in together of how subtle this hoof distortion is, and how we have to so know this anatomy that we can recognize this distortion in its most subtle forms. And I want you to understand how it happens and why it happens. Some of this happens is yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Is because the horse is trying to adapt and save himself. That's what this foot is meant to do. Let's see. So I want to show you this picture. We looked at it. We've looked at these a couple of times. Just a second here. Of where I saw this distortion happen in 3 days. The cartilages, and it was flat amazing what I started to see. Just a minute here. Hold on. New share. I'm going to try and explain this so you can wrap your head around it, just like the hoof capsule wraps itself around the back of the foot. All right, so one of our members, right at this second, I'm trying to remember, I know her name, but starts with a J. Janie. Sorry if I'm not quite right on that. She's a great gal. Anyway, so this was the foot. Am I sharing the right one here? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here a couple months ago, she had just joined TAC, and she misunderstood something, and she totally trimmed the heels out of this horse. And I think this is if I remember right, this is also maybe an adopted wild horse, maybe not. I don't know. But this horse here should have had a foot like closer to the one I just showed you. Just a second. I'm going to get a better picture of that. Hold on. Just kind of take a meander at those feet there. Okay. Oh, just a minute. Like this foot. See there? That's the foot that this, I'm going to take and put these 2 feet together here so we can compare them. Hold on. To explain this, because this is all about understanding. That's where you find truth, is in understanding. Let's see here. Hold on. Which one? I want you on that side. Yeah, just hold on here a second. What I'm doing, I want to put these 2 feet together so we can compare them. It's not working out for me. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Okay, just a second here. New share. Okay. Okay, now does everybody see that? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we see it.
So this foot here on the right could be this foot here on the left. We could take this foot on the left and we could totally trim the heels out and make it look just like this one. See? And that's kind of what happened. You know, that's not very much. That's about 3/4 of an inch. Kind of just a little wedge shape there. And you would have this foot over here. So when she trimmed and then she shared this picture, I was mortified. We can understand that, right? Because first of all, look at the angle of the pastern. What do you think that does to a horse? Their pasterns aren't supposed to be straight up and down. See? So yeah, I was mortified. Just a minute here. I got to save this. New. Let's see. Okay. And so I asked her to take pictures of it every couple of days. All right. I don't even remember why I asked her that, but I was just, well, first of all, I was just really worried about this horse. Like, what's this going to do to his tendons and everything? Because, well, like again, if you watch those 2 videos I got on there about how the digital cushion and the frog stay work. Okay, this just totally destroys. Look at the angle of the cartilage here when it's supposed to be up here, like so. This destroys the whole way the horse is supposed to function. Okay, but now watch what happened within like a week's time. Couple different pictures. This is very, very, very interesting. And it helped me understand something. And it just really gave me understanding of just how much these feet try to adapt not only to environment, but to what man does to them. Just a minute here, new share. Okay, now these pictures are very close together. Let's see here. Okay, so here's the picture, far left, when she initially cut the heels off. This is 2 days later. Look, do you see the difference here? A couple differences here. One, here, let me open this in Paint so I can, let's see, copy. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Just a second here. Wait a minute. Open with, oh, there we go. Paint. Okay. We find something to draw with. Okay. First of all, look, there is no, I need a different color. Just a second. And different red. Okay, first of all, look down here.
New share.
Oh, sorry. New share. Paint. Okay. Oh, just a second. Oh, just hold on. I got to talk to my husband. Okay, I'm back. All right. So, like I say, this change is just within several days. Now, the first thing I want you to look at is where's the heel here? Look at the bulb, look at the hairline, ends right down here. Well, let's say, well, right here. Okay, but look where it is here. And then even more so here. It's even higher. Like I said, this is within less than a week. Okay. Now, another interesting thing, the distance from here to here gets shorter. This little bit different angle here, but still it gets shorter as it progresses. Another thing, look how straight this is. Look at how the angle is starting to straighten out on the leg. How can that happen? Do you think that horse just grew heel in less than a week to prop itself back up, to straighten up its pastern and, to change the hairline like that? And, interesting thing. Another thing interesting here is how straight this is right here. Here, I'm going to undo this. Very straight here, but here it's starting to curve a little right here. And here it's actually curving quite a bit. See, a little bit here, more there, no heel here, seems to be getting some here, and even has more here. Now, and again, what else are we looking at? Up here, the angle of the pastern. So, don't you think that's rather amazing that this all happened in less than a week? So what's going on? Well, here's the deal.
Linda, is
yeah.
it curving inside?
Yeah, well, what's happening is because
it looks like a bridge.
Like a what?
A bridge.
A bridge?
Yes, it curves inside in.
Yeah,
from the back.
exactly. Exactly. That's what's happening. And the reason it's happening is because, first of all, there's less wall here. Okay, a lot less wall here than if, when we have a hoof capsule that's shaped like this. See all this wall here? Okay, when you take all that out and you have just this much or less, even that much, okay, And so you got this foot inside here, you got this cartilage and fat, you've got all these tendons, deep digital flexor tendon, everything else that tells this foot you're not supposed to be down here. Okay, everything, because that's the true foot of the horse. The true foot of the horse is not down here. It's up here. Okay, and so the whole time the horse is walking, standing, everything in that leg, the tendons, the muscles, the joints, the cartilage, everything is pulling up, trying to go back to where it's supposed to be. And as it's doing so, it's taking this little bit of wall that's down here and it's pulling it in that way. So that would mean that this piece of sidewall right here would get, well, this would be pulled in there, and this sidewall would become like the heel, which is what you got going on right in here. And the reason this is curving is, well, for the same reason. Structurally and mechanically, the whole thing is curving around in. It'd be like here is the hoof capsule, okay? But what's happening is this wall is curving inward like this. And well, and as it does so, it goes from here would be the back where the foot is right here, to then it's going to go forward. Okay, so then the heels would go from being here, and it would be more forward right here. Okay, now are you kind of understanding what's going on here? And look at the, oh, well, okay, but here, what we didn't look at, just a minute, let me undo this.
So this relates to what you said earlier in the chat about looking at the ring of hoof when the farrier comes in and whacks it all off from heel to toe to heel, and how it contracts a couple days later.
Yeah, exactly. And because that's the natural thing for it to do, the natural direction for it to go. And so that's what happens here too. And then we see it here in this cartilage here too. Look at how straight that was, which that is anatomically correct, but not down here. This bulb should be, well, this hairline should be like that. And the bulb should be up here. See, but it's been pulled now down here because the heel's been taken out. Okay, but now look at how it's rounded here. Here it's been rounded and it's shorter. See? Oh, well, yeah. And shorter. And here, even more so, here you can see the round out coming up clear into here. See the change? So that is how you can see why people would look at this and not see anything wrong with it per se, right? Not see anything wrong with the cartilage or what was going on, not realize that the foot had gotten shorter from here to here, that now it's like from here to here. And then over here, even a little bit more. This has become the heel. See? So that's what's happening. And we get to be the first ones ever in the world to know it.
You can see how it's wrapped around by looking at the little black spot on the heel, on the just above the coronary band, where how it moves back in each picture.
Oh yeah, that's right, because it was right here, wasn't it? And then it's right there. Oh, yeah, I didn't see that. See, I didn't even notice that. Ha! See, all these wonderful odds and ends. And this is what we get to know from taking so many pictures, see? And so this is what happened. See, now this explains something to me. And looking at my own horse's pictures, because I was always trying to get his hairline down like that 30-degree hairline, that wild natural foot, poster foot with no heels, you know, and it kept doing this on me. Like, I could take you through my pictures and you can see where I trim his heels totally out, but then I come back in a couple of weeks and he had heels. You know, I mean, that the foot would raise way up on him. And I think it accelerated the growth too. So it was doing both. And so finally it came to where when I had to fix him, I realized his heels were way curved in like this when they should have been more like that. See?
Linda, can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, hi, it's Jessica.
Hi.
Hi. I think this is really fascinating because I'm from Sweden, and here in Sweden, most people would look at picture number 3 and say that horse got high heels and want to cut them off.
Yeah.
I've seen so many discussions on hoof pages here in Sweden, and the hoof guru of the page steps in and says, "Oh, this horse got long heels. You got to chop them off because, well, this and that." So it's really hard to have a discussion, at least here in Sweden, about these things because they don't understand this. If you say that no, that's not heel, that's sidewall, or that's heel in the making, it's not finished yet, it's just half a hoof, then nobody understands. I mean, it's like you have to have an angle to attack these things so people can understand, and that's what I find it is hard to talk to people to make them understand. I've tried to share this in a group, and they were like, "What? I don't understand." So it's really hard, but this is fascinating. I've shared some pictures like this of the same hoof in different stages to show them that how much you can deform a hoof. Well, I don't know, some get it. I see in some discussions that people are talking about saving the hoof, saving the heel, and not cutting them off just because you should. But it's still at least here in Sweden, it's a slow process, really slow.
Well, that's really interesting what you're saying. And see, because that's the image that was put in my head, you know. And so what we have to do is try and come up with a way to deprogram them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because
that's
they've been programmed. All right.
Because they don't understand. Because even when I showed them the pictures of the same hoof in different stages, and I've said to them, this is the same hoof in all these 4 pictures, and look how much you can deform a hoof. And if you look at the hoof in some stages and you think that the heel is very long, when it's not heel, it's sidewall. And you start taking that sidewall down, then you're back to square one again. And I think that's what people don't understand. They look at that hoof with seemingly tall heels and think that that is the end result. And they don't know that there are a percentage missing of the hoof that's about to grow in. So that's hard for people to wrap their heads around, I think.
Yeah, it is because of what Bracy Clark said, that deformed he didn't say it like this, but deformed becomes the norm. That becomes the truth to you. They think that what they're seeing in their mind and the image that has been presented to them and the so-called logic behind it, the teaching, that's the natural foot. That's the foot every horse should have, because that's what the hoof gurus have been teaching. But they don't understand the origins of that teaching and the error that man produced, which I'd really like to put a whole expose together to show why he came to a false conclusion. And of course now this conclusion has been dumped on everybody all over the world, that a horse is only supposed to have a centimeter heel, a heel that's a centimeter high, because that's what he said in his book on the natural hoof, whatever it was called, and stuff. So it's interesting how people can be told this is, well, hey, this is why, when people don't know nothing, and if you can get in there and teach them a bunch of baloney beforehand, you can have them following you, because if you don't know nothing, then you're open to be taught error, and not that they did it on purpose. I mean, it wasn't like I think somebody sat down and said, oh, well, I'm going to make a mistake that's going to kill horses all over the world. No, I think they thought, oh, this is going to help horses all over the world. But, it was a mistake. It was a miscalculation. And who wouldn't make it? Look at what we're looking at here. Who would know that this is even going on? All horses' feet are in some stage of this. So, but see, that just really motivates me to try and put something together to figure out a way that we could present this to people to open their eyes.
Yeah, I think that's what I've been trying. I thought by showing them images of the same hoof that people would, stop and think, okay, that's the same hoof.
Yeah.
And it's maybe if we can show them pictures of a horse that's gone through all these stages, and we can show them that it's the same horse, it's the same feet, but in different forms, and to show them that, look what we can do. Where maybe people will start to understand.
I think they have to be directly confronted on, why do you believe that? Excuse me. Why do you believe that? Why do you believe that? Where did you get that? Where did that teaching come from? How do you know that's true? Who said that? Because see, they're all a bunch of tape recorders. See, now what we're trying to do here is, and what I'm trying to do is explain to you why I think the way I do and show you all the evidence, which in a sense, that was what was done to them too. But it was done with these books that just were in error on that one horse. I mean, how you can do a whole industry on one horse's feet. See, which we've seen multiple feet here already, right? Not just one. And so, when it comes to my horse, here's what happened. Let me show you. So now I'm going to take you from this into my horse and what I saw. Okay, because see, I know from looking at pictures of other wild feet other than the poster foot, okay, that these horses' cartilages are long like this, see, like that, but that they shouldn't be down here, and that the hairline, there's not this 30-degree hairline there, Instead, you have a hairline that's more like this, very, very little slope in it at all. So, you know, this is what we read first. We look up here at the cartilages, and even looking at this foot here helps us. Like, I would look at this foot and I would think, well, that's not too bad. But then now looking at it and understanding from this foot over here what the true cartilage of this horse was like, I would know that this foot still is not correct. You know, and see, I've seen in my horse's feet where it goes back and forth until it gets established. See, Bracy Clark called the frog stay the bolt. He named it the frog stay, but he also called it the bolt. Okay, have you ever seen, oh, well, okay, like that mechanism that you can put your TV on to attach it to the wall. And there's a thing on the back where you can slide it and aim it, and then you can twist this bolt thing to tighten it up. So if you want to tilt it like forward or backward a little bit, it will slide on that, but then you can tighten this bolt to tighten it right there. You know, that's one thing I can think of, like that frog stay in there. Okay. Once your foot is where it's supposed to be, and then you grow that thing right there, that's where it's going to stay. See, and so part of our problem in restoring these feet has been that the frog gets distorted and deformed, and then what frog stay is there will grow, and then periopal grows over it too, and then because we don't know that and we keep trying to restore these feet, a lot of times they don't uncontract and untwist and unbind because we have not refreshed and renewed the frog to where it can move. So you imagine now, the frog on this horse is back here. Okay. And when this was up here like so, or whatever, it was up here and it held everything together. But now, what's happening to this frog now that all this is moving? And of course, just a minute. Oh, just a second, got a cough. So, a couple other things are happening. The foot is getting concave. The frog is being pushed up into the foot, and all the frog, everything's being moved on the bottom of this too. Got to remember that. So that's why, like we were doing real good, because probably more than anybody, I was having people trim frogs and keeping them trimmed up and keeping them refreshed and stuff like that. So pretty decent, healthy frogs. Never had thrush, not in years. And it wasn't just from using, you know, those different products we use with the copper sulfate. That helped for sure. But also from keeping frogs trimmed up so that they're renewing. You know, you haven't got old, dead, dried, petrified frog. You've got a pretty relatively vibrant frog. Well, come to find out, and see, this is hard for me to share, because what I have learned is you do have to trim that frog up a little more to get it renewing and start forming a central sulcus. But you don't want to like overdo it either. You want to give the foot time to grow and get established and stuff like that, because the hard part here, folks, is we're not just growing a capsule, The whole foot has been deformed, and so we're undeforming it. See? So let me undo this here. Oh, just a second. Okay, let me go out of there. So I'm just going to show you kind of what happened on my own horse's feet here in this regards. And Marilyn, this will play into what's going on with your horse, and then we will get to your horse, and we're going to look at all these principles and what we've been seeing here in regards to what's going on with your horse. Okay. Now, something I want you to remember, once the foot has been cut like this, all right, too, all the horn tubules are put at a different angle, and that's why they'll grow forward, but they're not really on the foot. You've displaced the capsule, and that's why they get all these abscesses and different things like that. And eventual lameness, like, yeah, the horse adapt, but you're going to get eventual lameness too. All right, so I'm going to go to my pictures. Oh, just a second. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so where to start? I'll tell you this.
Quick
What?
question now. How do I know if the sidewall curved into the back?
Let's take a look at it right now, and I'll tell you. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see. Okay, well, I'll have to show you in some other pictures too. Like right now, you're not seeing it as much. Just a second here. New share. I will show you some other pictures that will show this to you. First of all, one way you see it is right here. Well, I can see it. I can see the way this is curving around this way, and how it's being pulled, how the hairline, see how the hairline goes down like that? That's always a sign of that. Now, if you were to like trim out this whole frog here, which this frog does need to be trimmed out, and if the hair was to be trimmed, you would see that the bulbs are wrapping around and going in this way. I'm going to show you some pictures of my horse where you couldn't even see it, but it was happening. I'm going to show you how it gets hidden from us.
Linda,
Yeah.
you remember the picture that I sent you? I guess the last hoof chat or the one before. The gelding that I have right now, where the periopal getting wet, and you see the big difference, or you see it curled in. You know that,
Okay.
that picture, what I mean? Otherwise, I
Okay.
can send you again on a private chat.
I got you right here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, where'd you get that foot? I just seen that.
Yeah, I received that from my osteopathin. I don't know the word in English.
Oh, that's
And
pretty cool.
She gave me that, and what I see first was, yeah, it curled in and under, and pulled under, but I don't know if it happens when it's dried out or if it happens when after death or before. I didn't know. It was a foal, I guess around 2 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know the history of the horse. But this is quite interesting how
Oh,
it
yeah.
curled. Yeah.
Yeah, I see, like what I was showing on my mare, how it was you
Mhm.
know.
But I
Well-
think because the horse was very young, I think it happens afterwards.
Yeah,
After that,
that could
Mhm.
happen, but
when it dries out.
also on these young horses, because the frog does not get renewed and they don't get
Mhm.
enough movement,
Mhm.
a lot of times the foot is growing, but the frog is not releasing the back of the foot to
Yeah.
expand. And so it does the same thing as when the heels are being trimmed out.
Yeah. And a few pictures before, there comes a lot of Dodo's pictures, and then there's one picture. Yeah, this is Dodo.
Jeez.
Yeah, there you can see it also, but there's a picture where you can see it exactly what's happened when it curled. This is also Dodo. This is also Dodo. Dodo again. Dodo again. Dodo.
See, this is what you see when the foot releases and there's nothing for it to go into, you know.
Okay, the picture that I mean is maybe in the other chat. I sent it in the private chat.
Oh, okay.
In the tucked Europe group, maybe. Just
Let's
a second.
see.
Simone. Simone.
No, this one.
Yeah, exactly that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of times what you'll see is the frog and everything grows in such a way back here as you can't even tell it's doing that. But
Oh.
Marilyn, do you see how this is curved in like that? How this is pulled down?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's one way you can see it, but I'm going to show you on my horse how you couldn't even see it. And what happens is it'll pull these heels in like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll show you on a couple different things here. Just a minute. Let me go to pictures.
Somebody asked something, but I was on mute and say my name.
I don't know.
Yes, it was me, Angeliki.
Oh, hi,
Small.
Angeliki.
Hi. What do you mean taxed Europe? I didn't see this. Do we have a page or something?
No, it
this
was-
is, Linda, you can explain it.
Oh no, it was just gals from Germany. Like there's certain people who have different, what I'd really like to do is have cells, like where just 2 or 3 people are together and they can share stuff and talk things out and stuff like that. I just put 3 other gals together, Marilyn and I forget who else. A couple other gals together, and then because there was this other gal that's just learning to trim, and Marilyn, who'd I put you with? Tammy and
Terry and Sonia, I think.
yes, okay. And Sonia is just learning to trim, and so put her with Terry and Marilyn because she is 52, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. And we're talking about how, a lot of us older gals have had to take up trimming out of self-defense.
Some of us very older gals.
Yeah. And Marilyn, she's an awesome example. Well, I'm not that much younger than you.
10 years is 10 years, baby.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Criminally, I'm 67.
I just turned 77.
Holy crapola.
Yeah.
See?
Wow. And that's why I would
This is
really, really,
awesome.
really like to find somebody who could do this.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. I can totally relate. Let's see. Okay, so first
So, Linda, we have hope.
yes, we do. let's see. So first I called this spooling when I first started seeing it happen. And then I'm PQRS. Just a minute. I'm looking for my
Linda, I
spooling.
think you sent me recently a set, it's Elena from Hungary, a set of pictures like yesterday. Shall I send them back to you? So
No,
you can
no,
send these
I
there?
got them here.
You got them. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
maybe.
got them. I just had to find them.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so here's I'm going to show you some examples. Okay, now here you can see I put little spools there because this is literally what's happening. This is being spooled in, and of course, once a certain amount of this heel is trimmed out, it doesn't grow anymore, and so it can just be all wrapped in there. And so like on this horse here, that would be sidewall, not real heel. And his heel buttress corium has been pulled in like this. Now what happens is you can't see it here, but the periopal growing right here grows down the center. There's actually a gap here and a gap here, and this bulb is rolled into there, and then the periopal grows over the frog here and over the frog here and over the frog here, and it binds the whole thing together to keep the hoof capsule from coming off, because you no longer have any real depth of heel here holding it on, and the periopal takes over the frog, takes over the frog stay, but you don't know it because it wraps it up into a nice little tight package. It actually, I can show you pictures where when it's in the process of happening, it looks like it's stitching itself together. It's very, very interesting. Now, this is my horse. Now, this is when I was doing an experiment and trimming all this out and keeping his foot wet. See, I had no idea that this was going on. I'll show you the picture of before and why I started doing this. Just a minute here. Where am I? Yeah. Okay, so this just shows you how it can get twisted in there, the back of that foot. Because look, here's all this right here. It's, it just gets pulled in and twisted in like so, because it's just cartilage and fat. That's all. Here you can see it. See how that's pulled in there like that? And sometimes it's so pulled in that even the hair here will be pulled into there. Now, look, right here is the central sulcus. Okay, so once you strip the frog stay out of that, then you can just pull all this in. There's lots of room once you're removing that. Now, this is the same thing here, only they thought this was thrush. It's not thrush. It's just that the whole foot's been contracted. There's no frog growing here. It was probably totally covered up with periopal. And that's why I call it spooling. It's like scrolls. See, I put the scrolls. Just scrolls everything right in there. Now, look at this. This is periopal. This is a bulb that's been pulled in here. Oh, hey, Lana. Hi. Hi, Lana. Here's some stuff you can teach on your apex trimming deal. There you go. And I know she hijacks stuff. So anyway, so you see here's a real contracted foot where this foot has just been drawn together and probably isn't even a real frog. Okay, here you see it again. And here's just more examples. See there, now there's actually a crack here and a crack here, and this is grown over the top right there. So just different examples of this. And of course, there's our guy again there. Oh, well, that's not one. Okay. Well, okay, so I'm going to show you just on my horse kind of what happened. Now, Marilyn, the first thing it'd have to be done, he'd have to start cleaning up that frog real good to see what's under there. See, you pretty much got a pretty good petrified frog there. Let's go to your picture again here. See, this kind of stuff here always shows me that the periopal has really grown in and pretty much taken things over. Just looking at, well, look here. Now here, do you see a little more on this foot here, how that's pulled down in like that? You're not seeing a lot because you've got dead frog clear up into here. This is all dead petrified frog. And there's quite a bit of it. Let me,
So do you cut that out?
yes, you want to start trimming that frog down so that it'll start growing.
How
Growing
much
and
at a
renewing.
time?
Oh, what'd you say?
How much at a time?
How much at a time?
Yeah.
Well, I'd take everything off that's hard and dead till you get to what's pliable. Like you really have quite a bit. It goes clear down here. Well, that's all.
Linda, would you leave the irons on for that process? Do you think there would be a development?
I don't know. I don't know. Let me look here. You know, now Marilyn, have you trimmed yourself?
Not really. I mean, I started doing, when she was barefoot, doing the Mustang roll and trimming what she chipped off. But since she came basically to me with this petrified foot on all four, I haven't really done anything of substance.
Now, how long have you had her?
A year and 2
Okay.
months.
And was she shod before that?
No, she came barefoot.
Okay. And the person you got her from, did they trim her? Did they have a barefoot trimmer?
I don't have any history of the horse, and I got her through a horse flipper, more or less. So this person only had her for like a month or two.
Okay. Well, you know, I know that in barefoot trimming, they don't trim the frogs. That's why the frogs get dead and petrified. And that's the only thing holding these feet together most of the time. That's why because the horse adapts and doesn't show any visible signs of lameness other than the fact they need boots most of the time. They think everything's kosher and good, when in reality, it's not, obviously. But see, like, it's hard for me to say, you know, you would have to take over trimming yourself. See, you'd have to learn how to trim the frog, how to start thinning down and cleaning up the sole, you know, unless you can get a farrier to do it. Like, why, you know, probably the fact that she has this thick deformed frog is probably what saved her from having more false heel trimmed out. You know, right now she's got, these are false heels. These aren't real heels. This is sidewall. And, you know, but probably the only thing that saved her is she had this big dead frog. because otherwise they'd have taken that down and they'd have probably put her into a state of mechanical laminitis, thinking that she had too high a heels. But, you know, they have the doctrine of frog contact. And so just lowering the heels or taking the heels back to the base of the frog, so she has escaped having her front feet totally decimated. So she's still got some good sidewall, which gives her some height back here, which is good. This is good. But I mean, I can see why she would be lame on this. Even a frog like this, you don't know. It could be totally bent up, sticking up into the bottom of her foot. See? There's just all kinds of stuff that happens with these frogs, pushing up into the bottom of the foot and things like that. You know, so a lot of it depends on what you want to do. You know, what do you want to do?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I want her healthy and sound, obviously.
Yeah.
The farrier actually never trims her heels. He's only trimming the wall that is longer, you know, when she was barefoot. And because he says our arena is like just with sand and it's all sandpaper, so he never can really trim a lot. Hence, he never trimmed her heels either.
That's
But
good. Yeah.
he is not trimming the frog as well, and I wonder why he would not take the petrified stuff off. He only told me, well, that's Colorado dry weather, and this is how it is. And I'm thinking, like, it does not look healthy, right?
Yeah.
So I was now trying to Dremel it off, but man, the Dremel cannot do that. So I really need to take nippers to it to get really all the petrification out of there, right?
Yeah.
Before I Dremel then everything into shape.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. That'd probably help.
Because my farrier, or was it from you guys? I don't know, told me that the frog should feel like an full with air tractor tire. You cannot push it down, but it's kind of soft-ish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
This is all rock hard. That is so rock hard, you would not believe it. And therefore, with the Dremel, it takes the sandpaper off the Dremel before I do anything to the hoof.
Yeah, I
right?
believe it. Well, see, and it's probably a lot of it's just periopal.
Yeah, that's what I thought also.
And that
it's
periopal,
workable.
it can get harder than hoof wall. I mean, that stuff does the most amazing things. So it's probably periopal. And that see, it'll be a combination of frog and periopal. I don't know how it does it, but it manages to mix with the frog. You know, I'll show you some more pictures. So well, we know that is one thing that would have to happen, is she would have to start. Now, I would not trim this off here, or you're going to have a situation like with Dodo. Maybe you don't want Dodo's situation.
No, you won't.
Yeah, you want gradual release, but you can take some of this frog off, like into here, pretty sure. And again, I'm pretty sure it's going to be periopal. You know.
Yeah, that's what I thought also, because if it's rocking hard, I don't think it's real frog. I really think it's periopal.
Yep.
Because my Dremel flopped also away if I tried to cut periopal with them.
Yeah, it's like something else, that stuff. Well, it's harder than hoof wall in that the sheet, okay, the periopal, okay, is thickest right here, but then as the hoof wall grows, it puts the final sheet over it, and it's made out of tubules too. And it looks like a coating of shellac on the outside of the hoof a lot of times, but it is hard. It is the hardest part of the hoof and stuff, and helps keep moisture out and moisture in, and it's just a very interesting substance. So yeah, that depends what you want to do there. Now let's look at some of the rest of foot here in just a minute.
Sorry, can you just show me again or show us again which part we should not trim at this moment in this hoof? Is it the bit on the false heel on
yeah, this part here?
Okay, yep, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
leave
you.
that to hold things together for now. But
okay.
I would take off at least this much.
Yeah, great. And down into the central sulcus and up in the middle, a bit up towards the coronary band also.
Yeah, you could try and get some of that out for sure. You know, why don't you attempt it and then take some pictures and show me what you're finding.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, clear all drawings. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so
sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What?
I'm so sorry. I was just going to say, I thought that in Marion's pictures of the lateral, it looked like the lateral view, you could see a Davis boot on the opposite foot. So I'm just thinking if she throws a Davis boot on these feet and then does
get
what
them
has
softened
been
up.
recommended, yeah, wouldn't that be the way to go with that dry weather?
I cannot do this with the irons on, and now she has iron and a medicated pad, so she barely fits barefoot in this Davis boot, and it's the largest boot there is. So now with the irons, I cannot do this. I need to find a different solution to soak the foot long term.
Hey,
not just
Jackie, knock it
20 minutes in the
off.
bath.
Oh, Jackie's back again.
Okay, so maybe so just a thought, because I have a draft across, go to a draft site. I was just looking at Davis boots for drafts, and you'll be able to find something, and they're okay with shoes on, according to this guy. So just a thought.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So
when you do that, when you soak inside of a boot, I found with my horse, of course, she doesn't have shoes, to wrap a wet washcloth or something over the hoof, put a bread bag over it, and then slide it into the boot, and then pour more water in, and then let it soak for however long you want it to.
Yeah, I make boots out of duct tape too.
Yeah.
Like socks. Like
Yeah.
I'll put a number of socks and then a plastic bag and then make a duct tape boot.
That works too.
Yeah.
Or
That
gator
works, yeah.
gator boot over a sock. You know, like a couple socks. I'll even put a sponge in there. And yeah, I make stuff like that. And then I secure like the sock around the pastern with duct tape too. Because it doesn't get too tight, but it holds it on. And so I'll do that a couple times, and a couple socks and a plastic bag, and then another sock, and then duct tape over that. And it works really good. As long as they're not out in the pasture running around, you know. But what I want to show you here on this foot here is this cartilage. I don't know if you can see it, but it is really pulled down and in, like she's just so rounded here. See? And so there's a lot of her foot that has been put out of commission back here. Let me annotate here.
See how swollen the hair is above the hoof, this area.
Like right here. too. See, that shouldn't
I
be
mean,
like that.
where her hand finishes, from that point
Yeah,
to the hoof, to the coronary band, it's all
yeah,
swollen,
yeah,
and it is typical.
yeah, because like this part back here, that's all pulled down into here, and of course we know it's wrapped around behind too. Like this should be clear out, like here.
Share. Ah, yes,
Oh,
there.
sorry.
I can see it. No,
Am
no,
I
no, I can see
sharing?
it. Yes, 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 you
Okay.
are. My telephone is very small, so I cannot
See, it'd be
see
more
very well.
like this,
Yeah,
where her true foot is. And then this, see, and because the hoof capsule, because all this is so small and pulling all this in, that's why it's swollen or pooching out up here.
yeah.
See, because the foot is a certain size. So as the container gets smaller, it's squeezing that foot up out the top. You see? And so this foot would actually be more like this when everything is said and done.
Yeah, it should look like more in warm blood foot, you know, the
Yeah,
step. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like the Austrian Mustang, the race Haflinger, and they
yeah,
walk also in mountains, and they have to have step foots like the warm bloods.
yeah. And that's another thing that'll make this periopal weirded out too is, you know, it's all where it's not supposed to be, you know, and it's all working to hold the capsule on the foot.
And this is a hoof that looks like the 2/3 of the Greek horses,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. So here's your real foot, but here's where you are. So that much of that horse's foot is out of commission. And of course, if it's all shoved in there, it's being shoved up onto stuff it shouldn't be shoved on, right? And so then it would be no wonder that a horse would go lame or not be sound or maybe just not moving correctly. You know what I mean? It's like if I chopped my heels off and then tried to run. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you my horse and explain a little bit here. I've done it before, but I'll do it again because repetition is the key to learning. In case anybody didn't know.
Agree.
Let's see. Okay, I gotta go find the pictures. Just a second here. Okay, pictures and new share. Okay. So here is, I'll just show you a whole picture of him. Let's see. Okay, so there's my horse. I don't remember when this is. 2020. There's my guy there. And let's see here. So I've been working on restoring his heels since 2015, but for a totally different reason, in that I thought his heels were run forward. So I thought if I grow them high, then I can straighten them out and then I'll cut his heels down again. Which, you know, didn't realize at the time that probably wasn't the thing to do. But so let me show you what his foot looked like from the bottom. Just a second here. Hold on. Okay, now I'm lost. Okay, so here on the right here was in 2019, and I really thought that I had gotten a good foot, because look, he had full sole in what I thought were his correct heel platforms. I'd straightened out a lot of they were very, very asymmetrical, very much wider on the lateral side, and a lot of that had corrected. Frog looked healthy. There was no thrush there. The bar walls looked good. I thought everything was good. Okay.
But
okay, I mean, see here? I mean, look at that sole. That looks pretty good, you know, and everything. Look good. Okay, but when I would look at the side right here, I knew it wasn't right. Can somebody tell me why?
Capsule is still
curled.
too small for the foot.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
that
curled.
and
The bulbs are rounded and sticking out the back.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Look at that funky looking there. Now, so I knew it wasn't right. In fact, this is 9 months later, and just look at the difference in the cartilage here. Say, now I did an experiment. Let me see if I can find this. Well, just to show you how much a foot can change. Just a minute here. Got too many pictures open. See? Now, remember I told you that I mean, look at the bulbs here. Just, you know, although they're looking pretty good there, but then trying to get the capsule to catch up. So I knew something wasn't right. I did an experiment in 21. Let me show you what that looked like. Hold on a second. I've shown this before. If I can find it. If I can find it.
Is it 21 or 22?
21. Was in 21. Just a minute here. Maybe down in a different spot. But anyway, this is why we always look at the cartilage, because the foot doesn't stop at the hairline or start at the hairline. Just a second here. Hold on, I'm looking for this picture I wanted to show you. Well, where are you? It's time for an intermission. Anyway, I embarked upon a journey to try and release the back of that foot. I can't figure out where I put them pictures. Where the foot expanded like major in 3 days. Well, here's, oh no. Just a minute, but I will show, okay, well, I will show you this. So, new share. So I started trimming out. Now you got to remember that I had quite a bit of capsule and quite a bit of heel. So this isn't something I would just automatically do to a foot. I had not grown some heel in and restored first in some other ways. That's why I was able to get away with what I did here. All right, which was I started really trimming the central sulcus out from between here, okay, and forming a central sulcus and trimming this out, all right, and keeping the foot wet. And the best time for me was during the rainy season. That's when I saw the most change. But you notice how I had lots of sole in the heel here? That wasn't the real heel. And if you'll notice, these heels were very curled in. And so I started trimming all this out. And what I saw started happening was the whole frog and everything started moving back. And these heels started coming out like that. And the whole foot started getting bigger. And this, where it's wrapped in here, started moving out like that. See if I just show you some of the pictures, some of what happened. At one point, the frog was just moving, the bulbs were moving, and the whole foot turned this funny brown color. And the texture of the periopal just totally changed. Because everything was coming unbound. And as these heels started coming out, and I started trimming these bars down to where they should have been, because these were not the real bar. That was not the real sole platform, as I like to call it. It was the real sole platform is actually way back here because the whole foot is wrapped in like this. Okay. And so as these heels started moving back and the whole frog started coming back and the bulbs started coming out like this, I mean, it was just like unwrapping. Well, it turned this funny brown color for a while. And see, I kept trimming like between here. And then it got hollow in this heel area because it wasn't the real heel area. The real sole in the heel was not growing. This is just an example of when I trimmed him out at his worst. See, that you think you have that image in your head, that horse is supposed to have that. But you know what? Then they'd look at this and say, this looks odd. See? Because deformed becomes the norm, right? But that's how his foot looked in 2011. That's how much of the heel I trimmed out. And of course, the whole time it was taken and pulling everything in this way. Like that.
Was he lame?
He wasn't lame, but he wasn't no gravel cruncher. He was, okay, let's put it to here. I'll put it the barefoot way. He was sound on soft ground. He would have had to have boots. He wasn't, no, he wasn't like visibly limping, but you ain't going to run him down no gravel road. Let's put it that way. But this is all just different forms his feet took on. And but this is just trying to correct him. Like how different. If you look at his feet, they look different so many different ways. Because it was never the true foot. And so when it's not the true foot and the frog stay is not established. See, right here, I'm just showing how curved in the heels were right here and how they're uncurving. So anyway, that's just an example of
Linda,
some of the stuff that happens there. What?
Linda, I've just sent you some photographs of a friend of mine. She's at the same point of unbinding the whole
Okay.
hoof.
Okay.
I want to ask a special question about it.
Okay. Just a
She
minute.
has, yes, if you see the solar view, she has the same kind of soul like Valor had. These
Okay.
two colors comes and go on the soul.
Okay.
And I wanted to know if there are horses that have two different colors on the soul, or if we have to trim it and wait for the gray soul to come out.
Well, see, like on Valor, he had gray soles, but then because of the stress on the foot and trimming the heels out, he's got white soles now with just a little bit of gray. He had black hooves. Now he's got multicolored striped hooves. Just a second, and we'll go there. I'm looking for, I want to show just some of the stuff here. Just a minute. So this is just what you're seeing when the foot is all these bulbs that were pulled way up in here are coming out, and the texture of the periopal, everything totally changes. And so I saw them turn this strange brown color, which seemed to be from the way the periopal responded, a form of healing. Well, stuff was moving, you know, and hoof wall got like a better texture. But there was this one when it looked really interesting, if I can find it here. Oh, just some of the stages it went through when I was taking and removing this periopal in here, because remember, these bulbs are pulled in like this, and now they're being able to be pulled out like so. So let me find this other picture though. I am having a hard time finding this picture. Just a second. What finally happened, hold on.
Do you think that, you know, with trimming the heels out, that would be why they go trim the heels to the base of the frog, is because they see the binding happen and that they think that the heels are too long and that's why they're binding?
I don't think they don't see any binding happen. They don't know any of this going on. They know heels contract, okay? But they don't have a clue that any of this stuff here is going on. I mean it. They don't know. Nobody knew it until yours truly at first. And now everybody in TAC knows it, and they've proved it with their own horses. And the only reason that we're able to know it is because of photos, is because of an obsession with trying to get the right foot on your horse, an obsession with something ain't right, I'm being lied to somewhere along the line. Not that they're doing it on purpose, but then not that they wouldn't cover it up. You understand? I mean, you don't want a whole populace to think you've been wrong for hundreds of years in the powers that be. But I don't think they're even that aware that any of this is going on. They're just not aware. Because it takes thousands of pictures and patterns. Like I saw patterns in my horse's feet and patterns in the feet of others. You know, we've got lots of people that have been doing this going over 10, 12 years and taking pictures the whole time. And so because of that, we're able to see patterns, you know, and our brains are just meant to look for answers and to find solutions, right? And so our brains have just gone to work and looking at patterns and at pictures, like, and you just start noticing different things. But they don't know this because they never sat for hours and hours and hours and just looked at pictures. See, they have never taken meticulous pictures, and they're not like us, okay? They're not horse moms. All right, the farrier blows in, you know, wham bam, thank you ma'am, give me the check, off to the next guy. You know, he doesn't notice that the next day trigger is off, you know, but because we're horse moms and we notice. See, so we are independent researchers, and we're all working independently, and we're all taking pictures, and we're all observing the patient, you know, the subject, and we're all taking note of these things, and collectively we're putting together a database that is showing the truth of what is going on here with these horses' feet that no one has ever known before. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Totally.
See, I may have started this and I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours, all right, staring, you know, and comparing and obsessing and stuff like that. But now, okay, other people have joined in this, and so we're all a part of this together now. See?
Yes, because this is contagious.
Yes. Yeah. AC/DC. Oh, wait, no. What is it? OCD. We're OCD here on wanting good feet on our horses. Well, no, we just don't want them to be lame. You know how many people are not riding their horses? I know a lot of people can't even ride their horses because their feet are so screwed up from barefoot trimming or from farriery. You know, I talk to people like that all the time. Let's see here. Where was I going? Criminally. Just a minute. STUV. Okay, I gotta show you this deal before we. Maybe I'm not meant to today. Let's see. But we know that the inner foot is the real foot, but the inner foot could be deformed, and a person not know it, then they would make a wrong judgment. This happens all the time. Okay, I know this is here. Oh, well, this is just another form my horse's foot took on as he was unwrapping himself here.
Linda?
Just a minute here. Just what?
Jackie is asking something in the chat.
What?
She's asking, can somebody ask Linda where the periopal is? I guess Jackie will want to know where it should be when the hoof is, yeah, close to the perfect hoof.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll show you in this picture, some of it. Just a second here. All right. Something's going on and I cannot find. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here's another. Look at that. Now, this is when it was really coming. The back of the foot was, the bulbs were really, look at the difference. Wait a minute. Isn't that interesting? Here, they're all pulled in here. And here, they kind of just expanded. Interesting, don't you think? Now,
Very
this is
interesting.
more the way they're supposed to be. They're not supposed to be pulled in like that. See, so we went through this stage. Just a minute.
Question, how much does the bar play in binding too?
I think a lot.
Yeah. 'Cause then it's like, how much do you take down of the bar? Because the bar's got to remodel too and open
Yeah.
up in like the seed of the corn, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one of them questions, and stuff, because I was mapping where the line just went to the side of the frog, and then I started mapping to where over here, and that allowed me to take off more bar, and I think that helped a lot. Got so many of these deja vus, got to watch how much of that you take off and stuff like that. Yet I've had times when, due to one reason or another, I had to kind of remove the whole bar, not down to blood or nothing. You can take off a bar pretty easy without removing it, even getting close to anything vital. But I imagine that they pretty much hold everything right here. So, we just need more experiment and more on that issue.
Linda, when your frog on the right there was all like, I'll just say filled in, then did you leave it that way, or did you open it up a little based on where you were in your process?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember what happened there. It was just a stage it went through, and then it changed.
Okay.
Again, and eventually, oh wait, here. I don't know why I'm having a hard time finding this one pictures. Just a second here.
Talking about bars, most of the time, when you start trimming the frog properly, you find out that your bar is broken and it is untouched. It is it's on the air. How can I say it?
Yeah.
It's
Unattached.
unattached. Yes, to the heel. Many times. I've seen it 2 or 3 times in Benenitra's hoofs.
It's floating. You'd say it's floating.
Yes. Okay. So I had to cut the whole bar off, and nothing happened. It grew better and better every time.
Okay, I found the picture. I wanted to show you. So I hadn't really shared this, except we had a frog Periopal group that I started. That sometimes I start these groups and then I kind of check out, and they don't go nowhere, But so I'm gonna just share this anyway, because I just, but I just didn't share it really because I didn't want people overdoing it and just trimming the frog away and stuff and releasing their feet when they didn't have any heels and creating problems, but I'll show you now. Remember, I had been doing this going on a year trying to release this foot. Before that, I had been growing heel in and capsule in. My capsule had already expanded, so this isn't something you just go in, you think you can just go in and remove frog and periopal and everything's going to be great. No, what you're going to do is you're going to wind up releasing a foot that has nothing to go into. All right. And then you're going to be in worse shape than you were. So taking into consideration that I had been growing the heels and the hoof capsule on this horse for a number of years, Okay, but I was just at this place where it wasn't going anywhere. Like in the wet season, it would really expand and look great. And then in the dry season, it would all kind of shrink up again. And I'm talking about that cartilage. You know, I showed you how I thought I had a good foot, but when I looked at the cartilage above the hairline, it was all rounded out, and I knew that wasn't correct, right? So then I came to understand that this periopal was taken over. And I started trimming it. I started trimming between the bulbs, all that. And I've showed you a few pictures of the changes the foot was going through. And then I had trimmed him, and it was several weeks, and then I came back to do another trim, and this is what I found. Now, when was this? Let me find out first. This was in April of 22 last year.
New share?
Yeah. Okay, so I washed the feet, and this is what I found. Now, I want to remind you of what the foot looked like when I thought I had a good foot. I want to show you something here. Wait a minute. New share, just a second here. New share. Right there. See it? Now, a second. Okay. Right here. You see this foot? You see how tight that looks right there? You wouldn't think that there was, you wouldn't look at that, and you wouldn't think that these bulbs actually, that there's a crack here, and these bulbs are actually bound in under there. All right. Now, let's go to here. Remember, that was in 2019. Here's the foot I got now. This is last April. And I come out to trim, and I find this. First of all, notice that in the other picture I had sole in what I thought was a heel. But as the foot is unwrapping and it's uncovering the real heel sole that hasn't been grown for a while, the heels are concave and not a lot of sole in here. And I come out, and there's a number of things. First of all, I'm going to tell you right here that this is brand new heel buttress that's growing right here. And this thing here, first of all, I'm going to tell you that this is periopal growing over the whole frog like that. That is periopal. That is not frog, but it's also connected into some frog there. This is periopal here. This is the same periopal here, okay, that you have here. Only you wouldn't know it, would you? Then this pretty much looks like all one solid chunk, right? But it's not. It's not. Let's see. What happens is when all this is being pulled in like this periopal all gets pulled in there, and this starts stitching itself together to cover up the frog, to take the place of the frog stay, and to hold the capsule on the foot. And so, yeah, this is all periopal. This piece right here is periopal. This is all periopal that grew over the whole frog. And when you look at this here, this is what you are seeing here too, but who would know it, right? Looks like a pretty normal, healthy frog, relatively, I would say, but it's not frog. It's periopal, right here, and down the center. So let's see, new share. So I come out and I found this, and I'm like, huh. I'm wondering what the heck, because see, just before this, in the trim before this, I had what I thought was a relatively good looking, healthy frog. And now I come out and I don't know what this is. At that point, I don't know what's going on. I just did describe to you what it is, that it is periopal. But at the time, I did not know what it was. I thought something funky happened to my frog. You know, I was a little disappointed. It's also in the wet season, so it'd been staying wet there, and the bulbs are unwrapping now. Look at this part of the bulb here. Okay, look, it goes in there. Okay, and look at this, how this is growing and feeding all this from right here. That's not frog, that's periopal. This is all periopal. Okay, so I didn't quite know what to do. I trimmed this up right in here, and look what I find. Isn't that interesting? What I saw that this was feeding this, so I cut the feed, all right, like that. I didn't know what to do though. And here, okay, here's the way the foot looked on the trim before. Here's what I came to. Now again, look at that. See how this is periopal and it's feeding this, and it's a big chunk of periopal. It's a false frog stay is what it is. When you trim the heels out of these horses, it strips the frog out of them. It'll strip the frog stay out. Well, it pulls all this periopal in, and that periopal can grow all in the central sulcus, and it makes a false frog. How about that? See, and this is all for the survival of the horse. So I cut the feed to where it looked like that, but I still wasn't sure what to do. And look at this, look at that. Isn't that interesting? What is that? What is that? That's not how frogs are supposed to grow. Well, what this is here is what I would call cornified frog corium. As the frog was stripped out, as the periopal took over and laid over the top, the real frog stopped growing and the periopal took over. And so this is frog corium, but it's what I call cornified, meaning it develops this layer that protects it. But what'll happen is when you uncover all that, it's like grass. It'll start growing again. And that's that way for the heel buttress, for the sole, like the sole in here where there's not sole in here like there was in my previous foot. I knew that the foot was expanding, it was uncovering the true heels, the true sole corium, and that even though it was hollow in here, that when the foot got right, this would fill up with sole. Okay, so that's what it looked like. Now, the frog, the whole frog, he was never sore at all during any of this. But look at the interesting color of the sole. Now, the reason for this, I'm theorizing, is that this sole corium and the frog corium and the whole thing is like a big, thick gel sock over the foot. And as the frog is moving back into place and the bulbs are unwinding here, that whole sock is moving. And what I started seeing was a different quality of sole growing as all this was straightening out. So I just trimmed off that much. I really didn't know quite what to do there that day. And I just left it that way till the next day. And I just didn't find this on this foot. I wound up finding this on all 4 feet. Okay, so the next day I come in there and I trimmed off that flap that was there. And now I didn't know at the time, I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what I was seeing right there. But I can tell you now that the innermost layer of the true frog is opaque and almost clear, and you can look through it and you can see the frog corium, which is the color of skin. You won't see through it and see blood color. Now, if I peeled that off of there, it would look blood color, but the very innermost layer of the frog, the true frog, is so opaque. You can look through it and you can see the color of the frog corium, which is the color of skin because it is skin. So if I were to take you now and show you a foot, which I'm not going to come out of here right now, where I've removed the blood, you'll see the color of the coriums and which is skin, and they're that color, just like the color of your skin. Okay. Well, here we go. Like this. See there? So again, I trimmed this. It became that little flap. All right. And so now that's the color of skin. That's the innermost layer of frog.
Linda,
Yeah.
may you can stay in the picture before? May I ask something?
Yeah.
The one picture after. One before. Yeah, that one. No.
This one?
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Do I see it right? Is the apex also coming back?
Yes.
Yeah, that's totally interesting.
Yeah, the whole thing comes back. The apex moves back. Everything moves back.
Yeah, and you have to keep it. You have to trim it also, huh?
Mm-hmm.
If you see that development, you have to trim it. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm looking also at the apex.
Yeah, yeah. In keeping the frog supple and in cleaning out between the bulbs like I had been doing, yeah, the whole thing was moving.
Totally interesting. Thank you.
Okay, so this is 2 weeks later, and this is the frog that grew, and this was real frog, and it had a totally different texture. Like I'd never seen anything like it ever. Totally different texture than my fake frog over here ever had. My Periopal frog. Now, my Periopal frog was not always petrified because Periopal skin can be soft and it kept growing and stuff like that. But this was totally different right here. That frog that grew within a couple weeks. This was it before. That's 12/1, 20. Well, this was 2 years before. That's a Periopal frog. Okay. And this is like real frog here.
Linda?
Yeah.
I just sent you a picture of Dolly's right hind when I trimmed 3 weeks ago now. And on the medial side of her frog near the back, when I was trimming her frog, all of a sudden I hit a hollow space. And I think I ran into the same thing. I think it's the Periopal over her true frog.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to go
look. I
look.
just sent that to you in Messenger.
Okay.
Am I asking something in between?
Yeah.
Do you feel something different to cut the frog? Because just for my clarifying, I think that you can cut the frog with the normal knife, normal sharp, it feels like butter. You can cut through butter if you cut through real frog. And if you cut through Periopal, hard, okay, rocking hard, Periopal doesn't talk about it, don't talk about it, but if you cut through normal Periopal, who's growing over all the frog, it doesn't feel like you cut through butter. Am I right, or do you feel the same?
I don't know. It depends on how sharp your hoof knife is. I think they are different, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my sharps are very my knives are very sharp, but I see a difference between Dodo and Angelo, my two Geldings.
Okay. Yeah.
And my mare is also totally different. If I cut her frog, it goes through. It feels like it goes through butter. And if I cut Angelo, yeah, it's more harder to cut through.
Okay. Well,
But
that
he's also
makes
in
sense.
development. Okay, so
Yeah.
my feelings are right. Thank you.
Yeah, I know that on mine, that frog is easier to cut as long as it's not totally dead and dried and stuff like that, than Periopal. And a lot of it too depends on how dry stuff is. Okay, Marilyn, so which area?
That brown area, right where your little hand thing is, right there.
Right there. So what did you find?
I was trimming her frog, trimming off the top layer, and poof, there was a hollow area, and that was what was underneath.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
I sent you another view also, the one from more on the back. I just sent that.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do with it, so I just kind of cleaned it up, and I kind of cleaned what was loose because I didn't want a lot of mud and thrush and stuff because we're ankle deep in mud out at the barn. It's just horrible.
Just a minute here. New share. So this was underneath?
That was underneath.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
It was kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, it is scary, isn't it? It's like you're not supposed to be there.
I was trying to trim her frog even with the other side, and it's like, what the heck happened here?
Yeah, so that was probably a layer of Periopal over that.
Probably.
And that could be a layer of frog underneath.
It didn't bleed, so that was good.
Yeah. See, this is so common that at one time it was called the frog band. Let me show you a picture. Just a second here. Because this Periopal was so connected to the frog, and it's so common to find in horses where the heels have been trimmed out and where the foot had twisted around like that, had spooled in like that. Let me find this here, just a second. I'll show you. Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you this. This is how all the horses' feet looked in the Victorian age. What I'm going to show you here. Remember, we started with what Bracy Clark said, that deformed becomes the norm, right? Okay, so in his studies, coronary frog band of the horse's foot. Okay, so what they thought was that the coronary and the frog band was all into one, and that this comes back here and it goes and it grows over the frog. You see how he has it here? This was in his earlier studies. Now later, he names this the Periopal band and not the frog band, coronary frog band. He names it the Periopal band. Now, I don't know I don't think he still thought that it covered the whole frog, but I don't know for sure. But I want you to notice my pony's foot here. See how this is all pulled down and weird like that? Look at her. See the periopal band? Okay, now this was a long time ago. I didn't know that it was growing over the whole frog. But here's what you see it doing. But see, that's a distortion. That's a distortion that became considered part of the real anatomy. Now, you never hear this now, you know, so I think he straightened out some of that since he did rename the very top of this, the periopal band. And then, of course, under that is the coronary band that grows the hoof wall. Okay. And I don't think this was earlier in his studies. And I think this may have been what they considered as correct in anatomy at the time, but he straightened out a lot of that, some of that stuff anyway. But can you see how when you trim the heels out and all this, like the pictures we started with, the horse where his heels were totally trimmed out, and then as his foot insisted on pulling up, it pulled that sidewall in like that, and it created this false heel. So literally, you know, way back when we were learning some of this stuff and called it a false heel, we were really right on that, you know. So anyway, that's what you're dealing with. Okay.
Could we go back to the picture of the second picture of the back of Dolly's foot?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right there. Wait a minute. New share.
New share. Yep. That's our favorite new word. New share. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. So right there. So what I see is if you follow the what I'll call the central line from the toe, yeah, right there, and then you're coming back, you can see on either side like a little line in the back of the frog there. Like, I apologize, my anatomy in the frog's day is not what it needs to be, so I will correct that. But I see these little slits below the keep going down
Right
down
here.
yeah. Whoa, yeah, on either side, you can see that slit, and then you can see the outline that's more pale that's going, that to me looks like the frog stay. Am I right?
Well, it's the periopal skin. This is all periopal.
Okay, so behind that, then.
Behind there would be some frog stay.
Okay.
What it might look like or how much of it there might be, I'm not sure. What I do see is that this is still pulled down here.
Yeah, the bulbs are really pink there, which
Yeah.
says stretching.
Yeah.
So if we think, and not a criticism of Dolly's feet or anything, for training and education purposes only, so what, because of something I'm dealing with right now, I'm wondering about, in this situation with Dolly, would Marilyn be removing material between those two vertical little slits in the periopal there, you know, that's a little bit further down, yeah, like right in there? Or would
Like
she leave that
maybe
solid? Yeah.
it does to me kind of look like this is all really kind of solid and bound up, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just keep renewing this frog. And I noticed, it's the right hind. Okay, see, okay, this is interesting now because I'm looking at it like it's a front foot, but let me show you what happened in the same regard on my hind feet, because I think you're going to find the same thing here. I believe that is what you found here, but I'm going to show you there's more going on here than what we're seeing. I'm going to show you by what happened to my horse's feet. So just a minute, I'm going to go and find these hind feet. Just a second here. It's TV. And actually, like I said, it happened on all 4 feet, but the hinds was a little different. Because see, on the hind feet for years, I did not trim a central sulcus. All right. And so it was just solid, filled in and dead. And plus I trimmed out the heels pretty good.
Shall we see a picture from Whaler or shall we see Dolly's hoof?
Just a minute here. I'm going to show you my horse's feet. I just have to get the picture.
Oh,
See, now I showed you the front foot and what happened. Now here's the back foot. Just a second here. And see what, like I'm looking at Dolly's foot and I'm looking at what you were saying about that. And I'm trying to see it. And then I had to remember my horse's back feet. All right. And I think, Marilyn, you're going to see this happen here in the not too distant future. Okay. Okay, so if you look over here, right over here, this was my horse's frog. And of course, I started putting more of a central sulcus in because I knew it was supposed to be there. Instead of solid, I said started trimming and putting more of one end. But I want you to look at this frog, how solid everything looks. You see there? You would never suspect anything going on here. See, just solid, okay? But I kept putting in a central sulcus and trimming this up. And this was at the same time, maybe a couple weeks later, of what I just showed you happened on the front feet. Then I come out and I find this. Now, that was there. This was there all along, but you couldn't see it. Now, on this foot, you can't really see that the bulbs are pulled in under here. Just a minute. You can't see it. Everything looks like one unit, right? But this is the truth of what was really going on. The bulbs were really bound up in here. And look here, remember in the other picture, you saw a piece of periopal growing and feeding this thing, right? Here, it's the same thing. It's just a little wider right there. See that? Look at the gap. Look under there. See that bulb? This is periopal. All this is periopal. Right here, growing over the whole frog. Huh?
Did you trim that piece off then?
I do believe I did. I remember I was so shocked to see it. You know, let's see. Here, it's just this comparison. Look, it looks all together there. But now, see, yeah, I think I did. Let me see here. Keep going here. I'm not sure if that's the same. And now another interesting thing that happened was as this was released, then it was like the whole thing started pooching out. Like the frog aquarium had been just bound and squashed, and then it was just able to go like that. Yeah, let's see, when is this? That's 319. So that's about a month later. So I'm trimming it like this. See, trimming it out. Let's go back this way because there's something else I wanted to show you. Okay. So I like to take my grinder and clean things up, you know. So I was cleaning it up, and as I was cleaning it up, the grinder did that. And at first I thought, oh my God, I cut him or something. But no, it's the same flap that was on the other foot. Like what you cut through something there and you found something underneath there. Now there, in this case, there was a kind of a mushy looking, not a lot of it, but a mushy looking kind of reddish fluid under there. But this is still periopal. Periopal. And that's not actually a cut. It's just cut through that same flap of the stuff that's covering the frog corium. Which is what?
Linda?
Yeah.
I sent you a picture of my gelding's frog, and you can see like several layers. So perhaps it might be interesting to have a look at that to see.
Okay.
I trimmed it 2 weeks ago, and then on Sunday, suddenly I could see all these like layers on it. So it's in the chat. So if you want to show it, maybe we can see something else in that frog.
Okay.
Because it's like it has like a bunched up layers, one on top of the other, right at the bulb area.
Okay. Let's see.
While you're hunting for that, I am internally grateful for this goof chat today because I think this is my giant problem. So thank everybody.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see. So who was just talking? Oh, okay. Was that Leah?
Yes, it's Leah. Hello.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting to see that because, and it doesn't happen in all his hooves, but in that particular one, yes. So I thought it might be interesting to have a look at it and see.
See the layers there? Now, oh, yes. Just a minute. Save image, just a minute, so I can make it bigger.
Yeah, if you zoom in, you can see it much better. I don't really know whether it's frog, only periopal, a mixture of both, or it's just layers and layers of periopal, one on top of the other. I don't know.
Okay. I'm gonna have to close out some pictures here. Just a second.
Leah, may I ask you something?
Yes, of course.
Is the medial side higher than the lateral side? Or is it just a few is it just because of the view?
I think it's the view because I measured it and they measure the same. And I mean
the bulbs, I'm sorry. I mean the bulbs where your thumb is.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, it will be interesting to have pictures. For me, it would be interesting to have pictures from the back side, from seeing from behind, and from the medial side.
But I will take them next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so this brings us to something else we need to know. Now, notice how it looks almost like stitches. See, there's a stitch, there's a stitch, there's a stitch, there's a stitch. You see it? Like this side is stitching itself together with this side. Like right in here, here's where it's growing from, but it's stitching itself together. Now, I want to show you another picture. Hold on here. So we'll go back to Chester here. Tie this together with the 1800s and Bracy Clark, something that he saw. Okay, so I'm gonna go find Chester. So, you know, that Chester's my neighbor's wild horse that I got a group member, Sharon Shields Reynolds, to buy because he was going to either put him down or put him out to pasture because he thought he had some sort of lung disease. So he had such great feet. He's adopted wild horse. And I thought this horse just has to be a symbol for tact, for the true wild horse foot, you know, and a true anatomically correct foot. And so I had been trimming him 2 times, I think. And Sharon, she was moving out here from California, and I wasn't able to get to him to trim him for a good period of time. I'm ashamed to say. But all things work together for a reason, my friends. So I was just going to go trimming this one Saturday. And then my neighbor Claude said, oh, well, we're taking him up to Sharon. And I was like, oh, man. And then I couldn't get up to her house to help her with him for another month. So he went like 8 months, a good 8 months without a trim. And I'm thinking, oh, man, his feet are going to be ruined. They're going to be this, they're going to be that. And so I want to show you how long they were. Just a minute here. Okay, so this is his foot. By the time I got to trim it, see how long his foot was? Kind of grew out there. Now this is the trim. All right, he trimmed him up into this.
New shell, okay.
You got it? Okay, so, but I want to show you what the back of his foot, now that's my horse's foot. That's my horse's foot. Here's his foot. This is what it did in 8 months. I want you to look at the periopal, what it's doing here. Do you see it? Do you see the little stitches? Do you see down here? It starts to stitch itself together.
It's the same thing as in my hoof. It's exactly the same.
Yes, exactly the same. And now let's see here. See if now when I trimmed him, I just trimmed it all out. I just did that like that. And within, this is when I started trimming him, first time I trimmed him. Let's see here. I can find it. Okay, now I want to show you something. This is Bracy Clark. You can find this online. And you remember that we started this with this here, where he says this. He says, wait a minute. Make sure I'm sharing here. Okay, he says this, Bracy Clark, 1800s veterinary equine hoof researcher and author. This error, and by the way, he was one of the first graduates from the Royal Veterinary College in London, and that college was specifically for horses. This is why veterinary school started, for horses. Okay, now of course they branched off into other animals, but they were originally for horses alone. Now we can understand why, right? The horse was everything. All right, so he said this error was that, wait a minute. He said, the eye soon gets accustomed to deformity and does not discover it. This error it was that embarrassed me and misled me in all my first experiments on what I conceived to be the natural foot. During several years, and completely obscured my views of the true nature of these things, and my predecessors also, as the general tenor of their works will indicate. So he did this deal where, see, all these horses were put into service and they were shod almost by the time they were a year or 2 years old. Okay, because they were wanting these horses in service. And so he had never seen a truly natural foot, a foot that had not been shod, And he came to realize that just taking a shoe off a horse's foot did not put it in its natural state. And so he had the opportunity to be able to observe this very well-bred mare that had not been had her feet messed with at all till she was 5 years old. And so in that regard, and then what they did was they took that mare and they shod her with the way they shod horses then, to show that the way they shod the horses deformed the feet. That was his experiment. And so the foot that she had, they did a lithograph of and all this stuff. Just a minute here. So this was her foot when she came in from the pasture. And so he thought this was the natural foot. He thought this was the true foot. What he didn't know was that this foot also was deformed. Okay, like because if their feet are not trimmed and they are unsawed, they can get too long and then collapse underneath, you know. And so you see it here in the bulbs being under the foot, pulled under the foot. And this is where the this is where the frog stay would have been. All this should have been high up behind the foot. Okay. And so he drew this. If you get online, you can find here a couple years ago, they found this cardboard foot that he made in a storage room at the Royal Veterinary College. And so the students took and put this foot online. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to notice. I want you to notice these little stitches here. Okay. See, this foot, as it would have been pulled under, that periopal that's up here would have stitched itself together, just like what we've been looking at, to try and hold the capsule on the foot. So this, he never saw any of our wild horses or anything like that were anatomically correct. The closest thing he came was something like this. And so right here is where the frog stay is. Been pulled down. The bulbs have been pulled down. The bulb skin is stretched here. He doesn't know that, because if this would have been a correct foot, you see right here, he's got the periopal. Well, he's got a representation of periopal and coronary band right here, but he stops it right there. Okay. Ideally, this would go about the same width all the way around the foot, and the frog stay would be clear up here. Just a second. Now, I just find that real interesting how I put those stitches together like that, thinking it was the normal part of the foot, when it's not. It's a reaction of the foot to distortion on how the foot, this side of the periopal and that side of the, start stitching themselves together. That will cover up the whole frog and where the frog stay is, to hold the foot on. And that goes back to that why they thought it was a frog band. See, now he doesn't do that on his example here. He doesn't have that because this foot was not that deformed like the one we saw previously. Let me see if it's still there. This one here. Okay, this was a horse that would have been shod for quite a period of time. And this is true deformation, where the coronary band, the bulbs, everything pulled underneath, and the periopal is growing over the frog. That had not happened yet to this foot here. Okay. But what he saw the same thing here that I saw. And then I saw it on my own horse. Let's see here, just a minute here. Where is, well, what happened to you? This second, show all windows. Oh, come on. What did I do with Chester's foot? I seem to have lost it. Hold on. Well, that's what you're seeing here. You see it? That's what you're seeing there. This periopal stitches itself together and then grows over this part of the frog and that. And you can see here too, there's a little gap like on my horse's foot, you know, where you can see underneath it there a little bit.
Yes, he has that flap on his other hoofs.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Just a second here.
So do we take that out or do we leave it on or do we take it just kind of a little bit at a time, a layer or two every time we trim, or what do we do with it?
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
It depends how big the capsule is.
Yeah, all that. It's on my horse, it seemed to reveal itself, you know, as I just kept trimming the frog, not doing any, well, I was doing some drastic stuff in between the bulbs, you know, but on the back feed, I never did that. I was just forming a central sulcus and keeping the frog viable. So, you know, and then it just started showing itself, kind of what it was happening and revealing itself. And then I started taking it off, you know. Just a minute here. Got to find Chester again.
So Linda, when you said that the true color of the frog, this is the way I understood it, was sort of, you said opaque, but I was thinking maybe, did you mean transparent because of the way that you were describing how you could see through it? We're not trying to, I guess my question is, are we trying to reveal that and then to continue to see that?
No,
Okay.
I just happened to find that out on him and on my pony, that the very innermost layer of the sensitive frog is clear.
Okay.
I call it opaque because it's not totally clear, but you can see through it.
Okay.
To the frog corium. And so see,
translucent.
Yeah, it's translucent. That's a good.
Excellent.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's Chester's foot again. Okay, and I just want to show you, this is this was, I'm not sure when this was, anyway, this is some pictures she sent me. Now look at how that's stitching together. See it? How it's stitching together? And then this was 5 weeks after I trimmed him when his foot was so long. And you can see there's still a few of those stitches there. You know, just, it's interesting what this does. So now you know why Bracy Clark made that look like stitches. He thought it was part of the normal anatomy, but what it is it, look at the bulb skin here. See, the bulb skin's not supposed to be wide like that. All right. Again, this was after he hadn't been trimmed for 8 months. You know, I mean, you know, sometimes life just gets away from you, you know what I mean? And so then he got trimmed, and then now I had taken that totally out. I'll show you what I did that time. That's the first time I ever did that. Just a second here. Okay, so I trimmed him like this that time. And then she sent me pictures 5 weeks later, and this is 5 weeks later. This is what it looks like. And his foot went from this to that. And I want to show you how wide the bulb skin is here. Because remember, he was 8 months of growth and hadn't worn hardly any of it off, you know, and so of course it's going to be pulling on the capsule. So you see how wide the bulb skin got here, but that periopal stitched itself together. And then when I trimmed him 5 weeks later, look, his foot's back in the capsule. And always, again, you want to look at this area of the foot right here. Well, first of all, the cartilage. Look at his cartilage. Holy Hannah. Okay. And so, but you want to look at this area here. You see how this goes down like that? And you see how this is wider, gets wider in here? That's when you know that either the capsule is either being, the heels are trimmed too low and the cartilage is stretching up, and so this periopal skin will get wider. Or like in his case, his capsule got so long that the leverage was pulling it off, but it's still the same force that the foot is pulling up this way. And of course, that periopal skin will stretch like this. See, and it does that. It's holding the capsule onto the foot. So when everything is correct, what you see is this area will be just about like this. Now, this is just a flap here. It'll always have that. But you see how this should be a uniform thickness from front to back. So that's something you want to learn to read, is this area in here. To how much, you know, partially, it's one of the things you look at to determine, you know, how much of the wall, like, okay, so that would mean that this wall needs to grow in and stay in the capsule up to here.
Linda, can you please draw the horn tubules of the wall in both pictures to see how different they are? In that area, the heel area, not there. And see the other one. See?
Like that?
Yes, they changed. You see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the foot totally moved in back into the capsule after that trim. Let's see.
You can see that on the other pictures that you've shown us before also. The hoof capsule is more wider after the 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's very strange how they bring the tubules are brought back by themselves.
Yeah.
Because the hoof is not changed, but the tubules come back. I don't know, they are thrown back, they're pushed back. Something is happening there.
I guess they will relax.
And I think these capsules, well, as we can see, they are way more flexible. I mean, when you think about it, they're full of moisture and they got a 1,200-pound horse inside of them.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot more movement takes place there than we can even fathom. And Bracy Clark talked about the elasticity of the horse's foot, you know, the elasticity, the movement, things like that. Well, anyway, I think that's all I got for today. Now, Jackie, this is the periopal. Just this right up here. There's a corium right here, and then it covers part of the hoof capsule and it attaches to the leg here. And when the heels are trimmed out, it can grow over the frog like what we've been talking about.
I guess Jackie is out of the meeting in the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, does anybody have anything else for today?
Not for the day.
No, thank you,
very much.
Linda.
Thank
I
you
have
so
a
much.
quick
Linda.
question.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Linda.
So, last week you said you have to be really careful about, and of course it all depends, right? But you have to be really careful about removing the support at the front of the foot that the tubules offer, but you still have to have that balance of knocking off the old ones.
Mhm.
And so now in my mind it's like, well, wait a minute, how do you, when you have a toe that's too long, obviously you're going to be removing a good bit of stuff. If, as an example, hypothetically, you
Mhm.
have a truly trimmed apex and you're measuring 2 inches from there to the end of the toe, you're going to have some stuff to remove. So if why I get this confused in my brain is, with some feet it's just easier to take the nippers and nip that stuff off.
Yeah.
But then that does create a sort of a dubbed toe.
Yeah.
So I guess based on your comment, you're agreeing that's not the greatest solution. And if you were to rasp it, you have better control of the angle and you can bevel it without removing. Am I going the right direction?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's some different things you have to look at. Like, you have to learn how to manage the sole and the toe. Like, how much can you take the toe down? Because taking the toe, like, you could bevel back like this,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But what about how much sole can you take down? Because as you take the toe down, it also takes it back. Like this toe here, I could probably, on this horse, take his toe down, because I know he has some sole there to work with. Just a minute here. So right now it's his toe is right here. Okay. And
Okay.
so if I was to, and taking the toe back means you take like a slice like that.
Mm-hmm.
See, like, let's say if I just took that much, then that's right there. You see how that brought that back?
Yeah. Gotcha.
So you can, depending on how much sole, you can take, like this horse here, look at his horn tubules. Everything's in such nice alignment,
Mm-hmm.
See, but what if you have a foot that has your horn tubules here are clear up here?
Yeah. Or you have really thin soles, but you've got a toe
Yeah.
that's back out there.
Yeah, which you're gonna have if your horn
Yeah.
tubules are like that and your heel
Right.
buttresses aren't in yet.
Tell me
Right.
about it.
So is this the part of the quote ugly stage where you're trying to balance bringing the toe back, or maybe you
Growing
brought
a
it too
heel.
far back anyway, and so that's why, but you haven't addressed the back of the foot, so now you've done your Chinese foot binding experiment.
Yeah.
But you still have, as you're trying to ease that back open, like prying 2 doors apart, you know,
Yeah.
at the very back of the foot there between the bulbs, you still have this toe that's hanging out there, and you look at it and you're thinking, holy shit, that thing needs to come off.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Which
ah,
another thing that happens is if your heels aren't right, it can make your toe look long too, and then your toe could actually be somewhat too long. But then you can't just take the toe back because you've got this horn tubule in the way. It's not going to back up a lot of times anyway. Or,
yeah,
well, it might back up, but then it's going to push the hairline up here or make a flare because this has to
yeah.
go somewhere, you know.
And only time is what I think I'm hearing you say, is that will kind of push it back unless maybe you did that.
Yeah, you just work
touch.
on it. You just got to work on a little bit all the
Okay.
time to kind of keep things moving as this comes up. Okay. And all these horn tubules get longer here,
Mhm.
then you have the opportunity to, you can bevel here to give these some room to move back.
Mhm.
These are going to have to move back before your toe can move back.
Yeah.
So you just kind of work intermittently on all of it. Like there's no hard, fast answer. Like I used to just rocker the toe back. Well,
Mhm.
now and the horse is always sore.
Yeah.
Almost every time. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't do that anymore. Now, sometimes I will take the toe down like this, and you got to remember that you've got to take a whole, if I've got enough to take this down, look, I would have to take all that down. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay, so then I would have to, and then rebevel. So
Yeah.
you've got to learn to make these to be able to rasp like that.
Yep.
Like I probably could have taken, like this horse here, I can look at his toe and see that it's a little long from here to here. So I know I could take off some toe there. And a little bit of sole and stuff, because once you start getting heel, you will start getting sole. Like right now, I'm getting a ton of sole. Let me show you a picture here. Let's see. Oh, this is from my last trim here the other day. I mean, the sole I'm getting is wow. Let's a minute here. Just be maybe this is it.
Linda?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Elena. I just, I wrote to you, I think today. Could we dedicate maybe some of the time of the next hoof chat to the toe? Because I have a problem. I think I took the toe too much and I made one foot bull-nosed a little bit, and I'm dealing with that. And then now I work with that quarter horse that I sent to you that was falling on his knees now. You remember?
Okay.
And they're like his toes, because his heels are coming up, his toes got really long. And I just don't want to make a mistake, because that's what you kind of I felt. And they're like the sole also growing like a funny edge at the toe. It's like thicker and it's like bulging. So maybe it could be useful just the next time to collect information and concentrate on the toe.
Okay.
A little bit, if possible. It would be very helpful, at least for me.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool. Thank you.
Trying to find this. Man, I got too many pictures open here.
Because I just see so many different changes in the toe.
Yeah,
and I would like to go deeper in it.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's what we should do next time is
like the white line changed the color and all that sorts of, and the texture of the sole. the thickness of the wall also. So because we spend really a lot of time on the back of the foot, and it's really excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, well, this is like, I haven't trimmed him for like eight weeks. And so I just want to show you the growth and the difference in the wall and the sole, and how the sole lips up in the toe. I don't know if you can see it real well here.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
See it
that's
there?
what I'm experiencing also with those horses, that it lips up.
Yeah.
So what does it mean when it lips up?
Well, that's just your sole is separate and it's dyed off, but it sticks to the wall more in the toe than in the sides of the foot. Sometimes it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute here. I was taking measurements. Then I washed the foot. Now you can really see it. See there? Ideally, I think what you do want to is you do want to see separation, that it doesn't just all glom together, you know, that the wall can grow past the sole eventually. At least that's what I'm seeing. Now, due to his heels being trimmed out, they're still pulled forward this way. But slowly that's coming out. See there, you can see the sole lipping up on the.
Isn't that following the internal foot there, where you've got the convex and concave going on?
Yeah,
The rim.
yeah, exactly. And so then I described it out some there.
Because he's got enough to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's got quite a bit. So that's how much excess wall I had. See, I hadn't trimmed him for quite a while. And his foot did not distort a lot, which made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
But see, he's getting a lot of sole. That's healthy exfoliatable sole. There. And look how thick and wide his hoof wall is.
That really is.
Anyway, I made a video of this trim too. I'm going to try and finish it off and post it. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. That's pretty thick hoof walls.
So how much would you say you would bevel on his walls there to? Would you be going to the, to the white line and then the water line in the quarters and then the white line on the sides?
Well, this time I just did this. Now, what I don't like is that his cartilages do seem to be rounded in the back. Now the other foot isn't quite the same. Let's see, I'll show you what I did. Well, I don't know what that is.
You got your watch chicken.
I didn't remember doing that. I didn't bevel much more than that.
So that's about half, it looks like,
Yeah.
of what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about all I did.
Okay.
So anyway,
thank you.
Where I'm at, definitely not perfect yet. Still have some issues. But the
Linda?
sole I'm getting and everything is great. And he does have a lot of frog stay. I can feel it up in here. Like it's very, very, very firm. He's got, what I do like and see here is now he's got full sole in the heels. Remember we were looking at his pictures and I said it was hollow here. You know, now he's got full sole, and that would be sole that was not there before. See, I'm not, even though I've still got this funky thing here, I know I have real frog stay in there. I can feel it clear up in here. You know, but right now I'm just not wanting to try and do a lot of correcting. I just want his feet to kind of get comfortable where they're at, and then we'll go through another round of maybe unwrapping these bulbs some more. But it's so dry here right now. Like, see, I don't really like that. Okay, I know that that's supposed to be more like this. But yet his hoof wall is healthy. He's got lots of sole. And so I'm happy where I'm at for now. You know?
Linda, can I ask something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering about the heels. What do you call it when they're sheared heels? Is it the term when one bulb is lower than the other because that one heel is more trimmed out than the other, and the other one is more upright? Haven't we discussed that before, that that when trying to restore that, you take the more upright heel down a bit more, so that's than the other, because my sister, she's got a horse and she has a trimmer out, and my sister's horse, she's got sheared heels going on in one of her front hooves. And that trimmer is she's inspired by Daniel Ants, I think his name is. I don't know, have you heard about him?
Oh God, the F trim.
Yeah,
that's a good initial for it.
Yeah, and I've been trying to help my sister and her horse by doing the way intact and not take the lower the more trimmed out heel, not to take that down any further.
Yeah.
But this trimmer, she says the right opposite. She says,
yep,
it's the trimmed out heel that we should take down because it's going to relax the other one. And when I heard that, then I left because I it's not my horse and I can't decide what my sister does, but I
I know exactly what you're talking about. I seen he was doing that.
Yeah. And I maybe I should have stayed long enough to hear her reasoning why that was the right approach, but I just didn't, because she said it herself. Oh, you couldn't think that this is the right way to do it. I mean, it's almost crazy to rasp more on this heel, but this is the way you should do it anyway.
Well, one of the reasons that they do that is because okay, so as they trim one heel out, it's pulling the bulb down.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when you hang the foot loose, it makes just a minute here, let me annotate. When you hang the foot loose, it makes this side look higher.
Yeah.
When in reality, this is shorter, but it's pulled this whole bulb this way. So they're sliding down like this, but they're seeing this looking higher.
Yeah.
When it's really lower. And so they come in and they lower it some more.
Yeah. Because we've been, when I was trying to help her, I always told her that we had to measure both heels to know exactly the length of them. So we don't go by our eyes, because they deceive us, because that's not the truth. So we've been measuring the heels, and we've been taking the more upright heel down a tad more than the other. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, I thought that her hoof was coming along nicely,
Mhm.
but I said to her, it's going to take time, and I don't think that her hoofs are that bad in
Yeah.
reality. I've seen
Will
a lot
be.
worse. So
Yeah. It
um
will be.
yeah, they will be now, because
Yep.
now I think that they're going to destroy the things that I was trying um to help her with. But I don't know. She had something to measure the heels with, and um she measured the more trimmed out heel, and she said something to explain why she wanted to take that heel down further. And I don't know what she did, but um she looked for a marker somewhere, and she said,
Mhm.
we have to take this down. Not much, but she
Yeah.
rasped that down. So
Well, see what these guys like him do. Like the only reason his trim is supposedly popular is because he's good at marketing. He just really marketed himself out to Yang. Okay. And so what these people do is they might take a few equine podiatry classes, or they take this or that, or they hear this from this person and that from that person. And so do you know what eclectic means?
mm,
Eclectic is where somebody takes uh, uh they like a little of this and a little of that and a little of the other thing, and then you put it all together. You've got an eclectic taste, like, say, you know, you're not just stuck in one area. And so they pick a little from this person, a little from that person, a little from this other person. They put it together and they form this special trim, and they give it a special name, and then they dump a bunch of money into marketing themselves. And that's what you got with him. Okay. He's a farrier. He heard about barefoot. He heard about equine podiatry. He got this thing here from Michael Savoldi, who Michael Savoldi come up with this deal on how to balance feet, where you just, like on a back foot, you'd hold a horse's foot up by a hock and you'd watch the way the foot fell. And then you would see where it looked higher, and then you would take it off, and you do this with the front feet too. And so I did that with Valor, and I lamed him up real good. Okay. And because the foot, that bulb, when it's pulled forward, will make that side look high. And so I know that's what he's thinking. See, and it was interesting that in one of his things, he said, well, it's difficult. It's something about difficult to keep a horse sound. Why should it be if you're doing what is right? Why should it be difficult to keep a horse sound? See, if they're having problems keeping horses sound, then they're doing something wrong, anyway. Well, you'll be able to help her once her horse goes really lame.
yeah, I think it's I tried to talk to her, but she's interested in hoofs, but not the same way as I am,
Yeah.
because I like trimming, I like watching, and I like fixing with them. But she wants someone that she can pay and come and fix the hoofs, because she doesn't have the time, and I
Yeah, I
understand
understand
her.
that totally.
Yeah, but
You know?
I think it's I think it's a shame, because, as I said, in my opinion, I thought her hoofs were coming along.
Yeah.
I told her to just have to be patient and
Yeah.
give it some time. I mean, we have changes in the weathers. Sometimes it's wet and sometimes it's dry, and we have to take that in consideration. And you have to move slow, and you have to make small changes along the way. And but she felt stressed about her hooves, and she said that she thought her hooves were really bad, but I told her that they are not. I mean, she was sound. She didn't have any problems with the hooves. They weren't beautiful, but they were functional for her right then. So I thought that we could give her the time. So but I just hope that everything goes well now. But then
it's not gonna.
No, I don't think so.
I'm sorry. I wish it was different. I'd rather be paying somebody than spending my whole life doing this, you know, like I could think I'd rather been riding my horse.
Yeah.
You know, instead of trying to figure out why it wasn't sound, you know, and things like that. I think it's too bad. There's a lot of us here that would rather been doing something else, you know, and just had been able to pay somebody to come and take care of our horse's feet, you know.
Linda, I have it's really hard. It's hard to find someone to trust. I mean, I enjoy working with the hooves. I just wish that I had more knowledge so I could do it even more in a professional way, because I think it's fun. But I don't think I have enough knowledge to do it the way I want to. But
you will.
Yeah, I hope so, because I think it's really fun, and I see the progress in my horse. But I also know that I make mistakes, so I put in two step forwards and then one step back, and then 2 step forward. So it's a work in progress, but I do see positive changes. So but here in Sweden it's hard to get knowledgeable people, and this person, she's a farrier, she's a barefoot trimmer, and she's taken education with him, Daniel Ants. So she knows a lot, but I don't know if she knows.
She doesn't.
Everything, or if she does it the right way. Because,
she doesn't.
I don't know.
She doesn't. She's been deluded and deceived and robbed.
Yeah.
Okay, because these classes these people give aren't worth, and the certification they give you. First of all, they don't, you know, unless they're in certain countries, they don't, you know, that in America, anybody and their dog can pump out a class and have a certification. And if you got enough money and you can do enough crap on the internet, you can become an expert like that. You could have the most horrendous bunch of bogus baloney, obviously, and sell yourself as an expert. Just like saying these people say they're equine podiatrists, that's just a marketing term, because there's no such thing. Okay, a podiatrist is a medical professional. Okay, these people and vets sure aren't medical professionals in horses' feet. Okay, and these people have started the whole equine podiatry. That is a marketing ploy to say, well, we're better than your average barefoot person. Look, we're just like a medical doctor. Okay, anybody and their dog can name themselves anything they want, you know, and then print up a certification sheet, and there you go. Because but that means nothing, you know. So his classes, his certification, other than the fact that he was a farrier and knows how to tack on a shoe, okay, that's the only thing. The rest of it, he picked and chose from all these barefoot people and put it together and marketed himself. And see, this is a big deal now, having online classes, you know, people making money and stuff like that. Like I see stuff coming through where I'm mortified at the people who think they're hoof experts and the crap they're putting out. Okay. And I don't see anything very special about his trim or really anything he does other than he's good at taking selfies. You know, see this is the way this is right now. The internet is awash with everybody who wants to have an online class. Everybody wants to be a teacher. Everybody wants to be a coach. Everything. I mean, have you seen the advertisements for it? Maybe you haven't seen it, but I get that stuff all the time, you know, and stuff. And I wish I would have known more, because I could have really promoted my YouTube channel and made money off of it. But as it was, I let the algorithm kind of go funky, and I can make hardly nothing off of it. So whatever, you know, and stuff. So anyway, that's the state of hoof care. They have all these people coming on now, claiming to be experts, and wanting to help other people and charge other people and blah, blah, blah. So whatever. So let me know what happens.
Yeah, I will. I will try and talk to her and convince her to
Well,
drop that.
and I really wish I could get some stuff, you know, if I could just take the time, if it didn't distress, I guess got to tell you that sometimes I just want to get away from it all, you know.
Yeah.
And really, I wish I could work it up and get some materials together to persuade people and show them why
Yeah.
that's wrong. Why is it wrong? Why is it going to hurt your horse? Why is it going to hurt your pocketbook?
Yeah.
See, once you have to start taking them to the vet and get special shoes, you know, and all that, because that is going to happen. If they just keep whacking off that short side like that, it's going to create such an imbalance. It's going to jam her joints together, for one thing.
Yeah, and I mean, that front hoof is that's a worst foot, but I don't think it's all that bad actually.
Yeah, not yet.
No, not yet, but I think it's going to be. Yeah, I think it's just.
I know I don't sound very nice.
No, it's true, because I told her that too, but it's I think she's got a what do you say, stressed temperament. She can't wait. She thinks that she's hurting her horse by letting the hoof be like that, and that our progress wasn't fast enough for her because she thinks that the horse is hurting. And I try to tell her that her hoofs are good as they are because she is functioning, and we are working on this, and it's going to take a bit of time. But she wants results, and she wants someone to take the hooves off her hands because she doesn't want to have the responsibility, and I respect that. And
sure, I can understand that.
But I thought that she could have a little more patience with it.
Yeah,
so,
that's too bad. That's too bad. But also you got to realize that these trims are marketed to people as the answer all for them.
Yeah. And this person, she comes out with a lot of knowledge and a lot of well, she's certain of what she's doing, and that appeals to some people when someone comes out and just say that, well, I'm gonna fix this. This is
I'm gonna fix it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the big promise of the whole barefoot movement. I'm gonna fix it.
Can I give some mind setting to all the ladies?
Yeah.
what's getting wrong several times over years, you can't fix in 1 or 2 or 3 trims. You have to take your time and you let the hoof grow in and keep the time and the progress.
Yeah.
Because I see it on Dodo. He was on irons 20 years and I can't fix it within 2 months or 3 months. It takes time. So it's our mindset thing.
Yeah, and maybe it's easier for me because I can fix with my horse whenever I want to. Sometimes I can let him be for several weeks and I see what I get, and sometimes I do small things every week, and it's easier for me because I have the interest. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. She doesn't. She wants she can do small things in between the trims, but she doesn't want to have the responsibility because she doesn't think she knows enough.
But I can understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just frustrating when I think that that's the wrong way to do it. Yeah.
Well, and in the end, that it's very possible she's going to wind up hurting herself by hurting her horse.
Yeah.
And girls, sometimes it's very frustrating the fact that we cannot fix the horses, our horses.
Yeah.
Because the damage is so deep and it's so long that we cannot manage how to fix it.
Yeah.
No.
But it is very easy to know if somebody knows about hoofs. I think we should ask them, how does the periopal work?
A lot of times they don't even know what the periopal is.
Yes, so it's very easy to know if somebody knows something.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I hope my sister's gonna find out that this isn't the best way, because she asked me about a lot of things, and she asked me what questions to ask this trimmer, because she wants to ask her and she wants to get answers and she wants to have
ask him about the periopal and how it works.
Yeah.
Because now I'm looking at Linda's hoof here on the screen, and I'm not sure where the periopal ends and where the frog starts. So it's quite difficult to say I know about hoofs. We are trying to understand some things. I'm not sure we can end up this research ever.
No.
Anyway, I have to go. It's midnight and I need some sleep. Thank you very much, Linda and everybody else. And see you next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah, me too. I have also got to bed. Thank you, ladies. Have a good night and see you next week.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Linda. Thank you very much.
We will talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.